Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Thanks for joining us. Our news conversation this afternoon, streaming here on Fox Local and some of your favorite social media sites like TikTok and YouTube. So feel free to join into this conversation where you see fit. Let's go ahead and get into our first story this afternoon. A deadly shooting investigation is underway in DeKalb County here. And here's a look at that scene. We know that multiple people were shot and injured. So let's get into the details. The shooting actually left one person dead. It happened Sunday afternoon near Martin's Crossing and Hemingway Road. Neighbors were forced to turn around because police blocked off a large section of the neighborhood road. Authorities have since reopened the roadway to traffic, and DeKalb County Police have not yet released the identity of the person who died or explain what caused the vehicle damage. It also remains unclear if the incident was a targeted act, a car crash, or if any suspects are being sought by law enforcement. Again, this shooting right here left one person dead in DeKalb County, and authorities are still working to piece together what happened here and what led to the shooting. This next shooting in Atlanta involves multiple victims, 4 people injured, and here's a look at that scene. The shooting happening in downtown Atlanta, and the search is on for a group of gunmen who injured those 4 people in that downtown shooting, according to Atlanta police. Officers responded to Trinity Avenue after receiving calls about this shooting, and when they got to the scene, they located 2 people who had been shot, and both of those victims were taken to a local hospital. Shortly after, they found a 3rd gunshot victim nearby, near the Greyhound bus station in that area. That person was also rushed to the hospital, and while investigators were processing these scenes, a 4th victim arrived at the hospital on their own, suffering from a gunshot wound to the ankle. Now, police say they have spoken with all 4 victims here, who stated that a group of unidentified people began shooting in the area of Forsyth Street, causing their injuries. At this time, police have not released a motive or descriptions of the shooters, but if you have any information on this shooting in downtown Atlanta over the weekend, contact Atlanta police. And happening this morning, a man was killed after being struck by a car in Northeast Atlanta. The crash happened shortly after 5 in the morning today on Lindbergh Drive near Cheshire Bridge Road, according to investigators. Authorities closed that roadway for several hours while officers investigated this deadly crash. Police have not said whether the driver involved remained at the scene or left before officers arrived. No additional details have also been released about the victim here, but we will update you on this situation as we learn more. Again, a pedestrian hit and killed by a car. This happened in Northeast Atlanta near Lindbergh Drive and Cheshire Bridge Road. Time is 1:03. Let's talk about what Fox 5 is working on today and bring in our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza. She's a look at some of those stories, and one big one, tomorrow is Election Day.
That's right. Big election day tomorrow, and the candidates are, it's down to the wire, and they're all campaigning right now. We actually have our reporter, Rob DeRienzo, working on that. Earlier this morning, gubernatorial candidate Rick Jackson was out campaigning. We got his stop over in Ball Ground at the airport in Cherokee County, and then Derek Dooley was out campaigning with Governor Brian Kemp in his run. So let's go ahead and talk about those races and what we can say right now that's happening, because there's a new Insider Advantage poll. We have a full story about that on our website, and the polls show Georgia GOP races are likely headed to a runoff. So right now, we're following up on all those candidates around the state, but we also have this poll on our website. So if you want to go ahead and look at that, you can go to our website and take a look at that. Joyce Lupani wrote the story. She'll be on this live stream a little later, but that story's on there for everybody to look at right now.
And Tanya.
By the way, Jasmine, I'm just going to read real quick from my notes here. The poll shows that Congressman Mike Collins is holding the lead in the Republican Senate primary, fighting to eventually take off Democratic Senator John Ossoff. And then we talked about Brian Kemp campaigning with Derek Dooley for that race as well. But right now, they held that joint press conference in Marietta to throw his political weight behind the candidate Derek Dooley, making tomorrow a massive test for Kemp's remaining influences. So a lot going on, especially for Republicans running for the governor's race and the Senate race.
Absolutely. And millions of people turned out for early voting, which is pretty surprising here in this election.
That's right. Huge numbers, and I'm expecting a lot of people to get out and vote tomorrow as well. So obviously we're going to have, I can show you this document right here. Not that you guys want to see, but this a little insider look at how the newsroom operates. So here is all the list of all my crews tomorrow, back, front, and on this list. And we're going to be covering several races, especially in the gubernatorial race and in the Senate race. So our crews are all prepared. It'll be a long day for everyone, but we'll have the latest numbers right here on Fox 5.
Absolutely, Tanya. Thank you. Let's talk about this next story here. This Douglas County man expected to be exonerated. Give us some details about this case.
Okay, so Kevin Stewart's working on this case. We got a email from the Douglas County District Attorney's Office. There's a press conference scheduled for 2 o'clock, which I'm sure we're going to take live on the live stream, and we'll have on our website. But really, we don't know much about this. They're holding a case update. That's what they're calling it. Basically, we didn't even have a paragraph. All we have is case update regarding Brandon Pugh exoneration. So we're interested to see who Brandon Pugh is, why this case is being exonerated, and that's what Kevin Stewart will be covering in Douglas County.
Yes, I tried to do my own research on Brandon Pugh. Couldn't find recent stories, but very interested in hearing what's going to happen with him and why this is happening.
I think it's funny that you said that, because that's exactly what we were all doing here. I was doing it on the desk. Some of the producers were over there trying to do a little research to figure it out. But right now we just don't know. And that's why it's important to tune into that presser at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. That's right. And this very special story, a couple is giving back after those South Georgia wildfires that are not fully contained just yet.
That's right. So basically, Doug Evans this morning on our morning story call during the editorial meeting, he talked about this. And so there's a couple in Coweta County. They're business owners, but they run one of the largest nonprofits to help people who are in agriculture and are devastated by some sort of tragedy. So he's going to interview them because they are now trying to collect items and funds for people who were victims from the wildfires in South Georgia that we've been covering closely. I see you have the video right there. So it also, obviously people lost homes, but a lot of people in that area worked in agriculture. So they're trying to help out the farmers and others in that area, and he will have their story, and he'll have details on how people can help. Jasmine?
Yes, that's some important information there, Tanya, especially, since these wildfires burned and destroyed so much vegetation in people's homes. So looking forward to seeing how people and how we can get involved with helping those affected by the wildfires in South Georgia. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us to talk about what Fox 5 is working on today.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine.
And moving forward, guys, time is 1:09 right now. Let's talk weather. I know many of you got out this weekend. It was so nice outside. I got out just a little bit. We will see those same type of temperatures and then also maybe some rain. So let's bring in our meteorologist, Alex Forbes. He has a look at your forecast. Hey there, Alex.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jasmine. We're not going to see quite as many showers as yesterday across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia today. Let's check out what's going on right now. It is 82. A south-southeasterly breeze driving those temperatures right now. We're trailing yesterday by about 4 degrees. Tied a record high temperature yesterday of 90. That was set back in 1960. and the humidity definitely noticeable out there. All right, clouds, radar, temperatures, 84 in Calhoun, 81 in Blue Ridge, 80 in Clayton, 83 over in Athens and in Eatonton, 81 in Griffin, and 82 in Coweta County. There are some showers and storms back off to our north and west. The severe weather day up there, not for us today. All right, area graduations here into the afternoon. Congratulations to everybody. If you're headed out later this evening, do be on the lookout for 1 or 2 scattered showers into the remainder of the day, but I expect by and large most of us will stay dry across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia here into the afternoon. The showers, they are going to be few and far between. You see just a handful of them later this afternoon. That southeasterly breeze ushering in the moisture, that's what's going to be able to fire off a couple of them. Any activity we do see fades away into the evening tonight. By the time we get towards tomorrow morning, mid-60s. Mix of clouds around, 1 or 2 showers tomorrow. That rain chance at like 10%. Of course, tomorrow is election day, so most people will stay dry. Then we get to Wednesday, and that's when things begin to change. Isolated showers and storms by the noon hour. This is an approaching cold front, and as it approaches, be able to fire up some showers and storms and provide that instability we need. Now, that cold front, it's going to come right up to Metro Atlanta and just kind of stop. And because it's stops here, we are going to be left with scattered showers and storms every day through at least Memorial Day. And look, I know the timing could be a little bit better, but we do need the rain, so we're going to take the opportunity to get it. What you just saw was the GFS. This is the European model showing something similar here. Here we go into Sunday and Monday. Widespread rain chances, we'll call it, across the southeastern United States. So I would expect at least rain at some point on Memorial Day. So here's the 7-day rainfall forecast. All right, some totals above an inch north of I-20. That would be nice. What would be nicer is if we could get out here into Texas of the 3 to 5 inch range, nudge that over towards Georgia. That would put us on a good trajectory towards ending the drought. Unfortunately, though, that's not what we have on the horizon. So looking ahead to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 83, 84, 82. 60, 50, 60% chance of rain here in Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. But Jasmine, none of those days are a total washout. I think that's important to note, right? A decent chance of rain Wednesday through at least Sunday, probably longer than that, but I'm not looking at any of those days necessarily being, gonzo in terms of outdoor plans. So keep those, just have a place in mind. Tomorrow for Election Day, 88, a 10% chance of rain there. And then into the weekend, those rain chances begin to rise. Now, Jasmine, something important to note. I saw it on Fox 5 Live Viper yesterday. I want to highlight it again as we head into next week, particularly with school getting out. If you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Keep that in the back of your mind here through the summer season.
All right, that is some important information. When thunder roars, head indoors and just be safe out there. Looking forward to getting out in the hot weather and to enjoy some pool time. Alex,
Yep.
Thanks. All right, time is 1:12. When we return, we'll talk about this annual golf tournament happening today, and it's honoring a University of West Georgia student who died back in 2011 in a car accident. It returns today for its 15th year. We'll be right back. Welcome back here to Fox 5 News Live. A local golf tournament honoring the life and legacy of Matthew Dias. It returns this weekend for the 15th year. He was a University of West Georgia student, and he died sadly in a car crash in 2011. Our Chris Rosenthal is there with more on how his charitable spirit continues to bring the community together. Hey, Chris.
Hey, yeah, good afternoon. So I'm here at the Brookstone Country Club here in Ackworth, and I'm on the 4th hole. This is kind of a significant hole. It's a little bit of a blessed hole, and we'll find out a little bit more why here in a second. But yeah, Matthew Dias, you may remember him. He was on his motorcycle, was hit by a car in 2011. He was 20 years old. He was a University of West Georgia student and was just new to the golf team there. Golf was very important to him. And he was a devout Christian and had done some mission trips in Russia and the Ukraine. So a very giving person, a very charitable person, meant a lot to this community. And so when he passed, his family started this golf tournament. This is the 15th year running this tournament, and they raise money, donate it to various charitable causes, in Matthew Dias's honor. But I mentioned this hole, the 4th hole, and I spoke earlier today with Adrienne Simmons. Her son was really good friends with Matthew Dias, and a lot of the golfers here knew him. And I talked with her a little bit about Matthew and also about when she found out about his passing. Let's take a listen.
Matt was a love. He loved my husband. My husband's a chef, so he came over to our house for dinner whenever he could. He loved tinkering with his golf game. He just loved playing poker with the guys. He went on mission trips, and he was just a ray of sunshine.
What was your reaction when you heard that he passed?
I was playing out here on the 4th hole, and just utter shock. I got a call from Pat Kenny, their friend. I never had my phone on the golf course, but that day I did, and for some reason I picked it up and just got news that rocked our world, basically.
You said that was on the 4th hole here. Is it a little odd when you come over here to the 4th hole? Is he on your mind?
He is always on my mind on the 4th hole, and so many strange things happen. I couldn't play golf for 5 days after I found out he died, and the first time I went back with 2 of my girlfriends that are here today playing, all 3 of us birdied the hole, and I was like, Matt. So, but many things. The first year of this tournament, I didn't want to play. I wanted to be on the 4th hole, and I had a contest, and the person who hit the ball closest to the hole got a cash prize, and everyone came through. Like 100 people came through, and his dad hit it to an inch. Just those kind of things just kept happening on the 4th hole.
Wow, it's like he's there, huh?
Yeah, it is. For me, he's there.
Yeah, 4th hole here, par 3. His spirit, lives here a little bit. So pretty cool to think. And I talked with his mom, Matthew's mom earlier, Kathy Mines, and she feels he's looking down upon all the golfers here today. About 100 golfers or so here today. Really big turnout for this event. Again, most of them knew Matthew. Maybe their kids went to school with him or knew him from the neighborhood. All of them have really wonderful things to say about him. So we'll be out here today. There'll be some cash prize or some prizes rather for some of the golfers here, and we'll see how it goes. So back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. I hope the rest of the day goes well. Thank you so much. All right, guys, moving forward to a story that has garnered national attention here. Happening right now, the attorneys for Alec Murdaugh are holding a news conference. We know that last week, the South Carolina State Supreme Court overturned his murder convictions and life sentence and the shooting deaths of his wife and son. So let's take a quick listen to what his attorneys are saying right now.
I mean, it makes no sense. And if you have questions, and I would encourage all of you to follow up with Joe McCullough, who represents Myra Crosby, who is investigating this as strenuously as we intend to do so. And he's been working on it for quite some time. I mean, the way she was targeted, it's very curious, and we hope to get to the bottom of that.
Is there any possibility of taking a plea deal for a lesser charge?
Say again?
Is there any possibility of taking a plea deal for a lesser charge?
No plea deal. No, never will plead guilty. Off the table. We want a trial. Yeah. They can dismiss it.
Yeah, they can dismiss these charges. You know, but he'll never enter into a plea which required some admission that he did something he didn't do, and that's murdering his wife and son. And that's not going to happen.
Who do you think did kill Maggie and Paul?
We wish we knew. We think we could have found out if we had the tools available. I mean, that opportunity was lost when they failed to follow the tire tracks in the grass leading away from the murders of Maggie and Paul. That opportunity was lost when they failed to maintain the integrity of the GPS data on Maggie's phone. Instead, it was at SLED downloading GPS coordinates at SLED that ultimately overwrote where her phone was and when it was on the night of the murders. And when they finally get into Maggie's phone and able to access the GPS data, you know where it said that phone had been last? Broad River Road, SLED Lab. I mean, that is outrageous that was allowed to happen. So, you know, John, we've gotten a lot of information. People are out there working on behalf of Alec for free, kind of like we are, and they've unearthed some really interesting stuff. And they've turned a significant amount over that to SLED. We'll be curious to see if SLED has done anything with it or will do anything with it.
If any of that investigation now goes back to the house or to the property, or is that a done deal?
There's nothing that I'm aware of that's of evidentiary value on the property.
Let me just jump in and say that the actual scene has been destroyed, right? It's been torn down, the property's been sold, the kennels, all of that are gone, so that's no longer in existence.
But our experts, in preparing for the first trial, did all kinds of forensic tests on the crime scene. A number of, we put in evidence that if somebody could be in the house and shots fired down at the dog kennel, never hear them. I mean, we proved that without any contradiction whatsoever. So the story that he was up at the house and they go, oh, he had to have heard the shotgun and an AR. Not. We had an expert run tests. Can't do that anymore. So the uncontradicted evidence is going to be, if he was in the house, he wouldn't have heard the shots. So, I mean, it's those kinds of things. And we've got measurements, I mean, very, very, very specific measurements on where everything was, which, by the way, SLED did not do. You know, the night of the murders, as they processed, it may not be SLED, maybe local law enforcement, they didn't dust for fingerprints in the feed, not dust, they don't do that anymore, but they did not process the feed room for fingerprints. They didn't look for DNA. Is there a hair? Let's pick it up and get it tested. There was a bloody footprint right next to Paul's body. It was a Fulton County Sheriff's deputy's foot. I mean, I'm not a big CSI fan, but this looked to me like they violated every basic rule. We had a witness testify to that. So, they got a lot of explaining to do.
What do you think the odds are of Alex getting an acquittal in the retrial?
You, John Monk, are playing those internet betting sites too much. I have no idea what his chances are.
I'm not playing them at all.
Well, you ought to try.
What do you think the odds are?
We have no idea. I mean, we don't predict football, basketball, or trials.
Just following up on what Dick said about the failures. During the trial, you'll remember SLED explained how they do murder investigations, and they do, they draw an imaginary circle, and the imaginary circle that they drew here, Alec was in the middle of it. And he was in the middle of it from the night of the murders. And they knew that Alec left Moselle and went to his mother's house at Almeda, and then came back to Moselle and found his wife and son murdered brutally. And do you think for 1 minute that they should have gone to Almeda, to see if there's anything of evidentiary value. Were there murder weapons at Almeda, which they want to intimate, during the trial? Oh, he parked over here, so he must have gotten rid of the guns over there. I mean, they had the opportunity to exclude Alec from that circle, but they didn't do it because they just failed so miserably in what their jobs were.
Let me say one other thing that brings to mind. As most of y'all know, I was a prosecutor for 12 years, and this is 40 years ago. If a body was found and they wanted to determine time of death, the coroner or a medical examiner would take an anal thermometer and get a core body temperature, then take a thermometer and get the ambient temperature, and in this case, alleged an hour and a half prior they'd been killed, sort of. The coroner showed up and he did something that just amazed me. He took his hand and he stuck it under Paul's armpit, and then that same hand took it under stuck it under Maggie's armpit, and he could calculate the time of death based on that. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, folks. Stuck his hand under the armpit? Really? And yet, then they said, well, we know when Maggie stopped using her phone and Paul stopped using his phone, that's the time of death.
Again, you're listening in on this press conference being held by Alec Murdaugh's legal team. A very big story here, and we'll bring this back to you live when we can if it's still happening. But last week, the South Carolina State Supreme Court again overturned his murder convictions and life sentence in the shooting deaths of his wife and younger son, and he's expected to have a new trial. We'll update you as we learn more details about that new trial. But again, his legal team is holding a press conference right now. We're going to come out of this for now, but get back to it later if it is still happening. Time is 1:27 now. Let's talk about this different story here involving the Army. So the Army is embracing state-of-the-art technology here to adapt to the evolving demands of the modern battlefield. So combat engineers went through a realistic stress test at Fort Hood, Texas. Pretty cool here to bring the newer soldiers up to speed. And Fox 5's Asher Red is in Fort Hood right now. And Asher, you were at this training. You got to see this. Give us all the details.
Well, Jasmine, the Army breaks this training into 3 phases: crawl, walk, and run. The company commander I spoke with says his troops are in the walking phase right now, and the only thing separating them from the run phase is repetition.
That's how the United States military is so successful, but because the time we do the actual exercise, the culminating event, we've probably already done it 20 to 30 times.
At Operation Hood Strike, troops have one mission: to cross the water and close in on the enemy.
Our goal is to get as much throughput as possible for friendly forces.
The Army can build rafts just like this one to get vehicles and troops across to begin their assaults.
We built a 7-float raft you can see behind me here that we'll use to load Abrams tanks. Anything less than that won't move them.
And then troops begin their assault. Chinook helicopters swoop in to provide recon and drop sections of a bridge into the water.
Because sometimes when you go to bridge, there's a little bit of difficulty getting all the equipment you need to the water.
Those crossing the bridge already know what the enemy territory looks like. It's mapped out at the Tactical Command Center. They use this map to know where they fit into the mission, from the highest rank down to the line soldier.
If you're working through here at an office, it's pretty easy to plan this stuff. But when you're out here and the aircraft are flying here overhead at midnight, it's much harder when you're out here trying to execute.
This training happens every year at Fort Hood, but each year is different as the demands of the modern battlefield are rapidly changing.
Lethality. Every hour these soldiers are on the battlefield, they become more lethal.
And I asked one of the commanders how much the battlefield actually changes each year. He laughed and said it seems to be changing by the week, and that the Army is working on technology to always stay one step ahead of the enemy. Jasmine?
Asher, thanks so much for talking to us about this incredible high-intensity exercise. Can't imagine being an Army engineer and training for this, but it is pretty cool, and hats off to them. Thanks, Asher.
Thank you.
All right. Time is 1:29. I want to go back into that presser here. It actually looks like they have concluded. So we'll move forward with a different type of story, guys. We'd like to bring things to you live, and the event has ended. And that event was dealing with Alec Murdaugh and his legal team speaking since his murder convictions and life sentences were overturned. But let's talk about a different kind of story here. So summer travel is basically here, and those family trips can be more than just fun. And so they can be learning experiences as well for you and your kids. Travel experts Christiane Klein spoke to Good Day's Natalie McCann about this and just has more information on how you can turn your summer vacation into a learning experience.
Summer travel is basically here, and those family trips can be more than just fun. They can be learning experiences for you and also your kids. Joining us now, travel expert Christiane Klein to tell us more on why traveling is just the best. It's so nice to meet you, Christiane. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to meet you as well.
I mean, it's true, though. I mean, even just deciding on where you're going, exploring different locations and destinations to, seeing what you're going to do there. There's so many opportunities to learn.
Exactly. And that research of where you're going, that alone is educational. And then what I always tell parents too is get the kids to buy in, right? Let them pick an activity or a landmark or a museum or 2 or 3 that they want to go to. So we were just in New York last week, and I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she wanted to see the Statue of Liberty and go and see Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. And she knew about those because we talked about different things that were in New York. And once you do that, now you have a whole nother world of conversation, right? Seeing Statue of Liberty was made out of copper, so it originally looked like a penny. So now we're talking science and oxidation and our relationship with France. And there's just so many things just from that one choice and decision that you're letting a kid be a part of, that then they can deep dive and learn so much more.
Gosh, I love that. I never thought about that when you're planning a trip and getting your kids involved. And that's such a simple way to make them, really just enjoy the trip and have something to look forward to as well.
Exactly. And, they'll bring that experience home to their friends, and then they'll talk to them about it. And it just continues this learning cycle and this curiosity in so many different ways. And so that's my favorite part about travel, is it naturally sparks a curiosity that you're not going to get in other ways.
Okay. So your first tip is, getting your kids involved in planning and what you're doing when you're at the location. What else would you say to families who are really wanting, to give this a try this summer?
Absolutely. So I always tell folks when they're going to a new location, explore the neighborhood. And this can be everything from going and trying different types of foods. I love trying street foods everywhere we go because it's such a great way to explore a culture, learn about a city, check out the architecture. You can learn so much just from where you stay as well. I always try to stay in something that's historic or has an architectural design that's different from something else, so that sparks that type of a conversation. Last week, again, in New York, we stayed at the Martinique, which is a historic landmark and is so much different than everything else around it. So there were museum quality pieces inside of our hotel. So not even leaving the hotel, we're seeing these different things and having this experience of Gilded Age New York, which again is right after the Statue of Liberty is built. So everything is tying in together. And then when you're walking around in a public space, stop and take a moment to look at those monuments and those statues. We all walk by them, and we don't do that necessarily. And those alone will spark entire new conversations.
Yeah, you're right, because we're just so rushed to get to wherever we're going, our next stop, that you kind of might overlook some of those key monumental, parts of history that are right there in front of you. What would you say, though, as you've, explored this yourself? Are there any tips or mistakes that you've seen families do that you maybe want to bring front and center today?
Yes, and I still make it. Do not overschedule yourself. Some of the best experiences are when we give ourselves time to breathe, so you can stop and look at that monument. So you can stop and try that street food that you've never seen before, so your child can experience something new. If you're planning 16 things and they're all educational, it's overwhelming. You won't remember them, your kid won't remember them, and it makes learning not fun. It makes travel not fun. You want to make sure you leave that room to explore.
I mean, it's true. Just some of the best education truly happens when you're traveling. I'm like thinking back on trips that I've taken with my family and just, you know, to different countries. And we did all the things that you were saying, and I didn't even realize that I was learning as we were going along.
Exactly, and it leaves these touch points too for education later on. So when the kids are learning about Starry Night in school or learning about different types of art, they can say, oh yes, I saw that in real, and I also learned about Cubism, because while I was looking at Starry Night, I saw Picasso, or I saw Salvador Dali's paintings, and you have these different conversations, and kids learn and retain so much more information because of that.
And they're on the ground, seeing it in person rather than just seeing it in the books too. So getting out there and traveling and exploring with your kids, I mean, it'll leave a meaningful impact on their lives, I think.
Absolutely, and you know, this is the perfect year to do it. We're in the 250th anniversary. Every single city across this country has some type of interesting event connected to the 250th anniversary. And I always tell folks to take advantage of our national parks and our state park system. This is such a special thing. People come from all over the world to the United States to be able to explore here. And they're all different. You can learn again about geography, geology, the indigenous people of the area, the history, why that park was dedicated in what year and why. So there's just so much that you can do even around your neighborhood that you're not thinking of. You don't have to go super far, but you can do just so much this summer.
I love how easy, simple, and straightforward you made this. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you soon too.
Absolutely.
And for more information on how you can make every vacation educational, just head over to foodfamilytravel.com or follow Christiane on Instagram at food.family.travel.
All right, make every vacation educational. Sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but you know, I'd like to spend some time, you know, educating myself on vacation sometimes. But time is 1:37. When we return, we'll talk about what's trending on fox5atlanta.com and Fox Local. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining our news conversation. Let's talk now about the stories that you are finding the most important on our website. So what's trending on fox5atlanta.com and right here on Fox Local. We're going to bring in our Fox 5 digital assignment manager, Joyce Lupiani, and she has those stories as well. And this first one is about salmonella, another outbreak here in Georgia.
Hi, Jasmine. Yes, the first story is about a salmonella outbreak. And like you said, it's here in Georgia. So we have these kind of stories on our news broadcast and our website pretty much on a daily basis. But this one is a kind of a big one. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says there's been about 200 cases reported since April, and about 50 of those cases involve children under the age of 5. And it's linked to backyard chickens and ducks. Actually, they think a lot of them are linked to ducks this time, which is kind of unusual. It's not super unusual, but, you know, usually it's more like to chickens. But they do say this time it appears that most of the cases or the majority of the cases are linked to ducks. Now, I don't know about the cases here in Georgia, the 4 people in Georgia. But it could be ducks here too. Regardless, you know, this is a serious thing. In fact, there's already been 1 death connected to this salmonella outbreak. So, you know, the CDC is definitely telling people, it's like, if you have chickens or ducks and you have to take care of them, you know, make sure that you are washing your hands, you know, even if you're just like handling their eggs, and you need to keep kids away from them. You know, just go ahead and keep the kids away from them because, you know, at that age, they can like catch it like really easy. And we know kids like to play with animals. So CDC says, you know, to be safe right now, just keep the kids away.
Yeah, what a very interesting story here. I wonder how often salmonella outbreaks are tied to backyard poultry.
I did not look that up. I mean, I know we hear about it fairly often. Like I said at the beginning, it's like we have these kind of stories, like it seems like weekly, if not daily sometimes. So it's not that unusual, but, you know, it's really serious. People do die from it.
Yes, yeah. And I know a lot of these are yeah, we do see a lot of these just across the U.S., but very, very interesting here. Let's talk about the sad story. This UGA student celebrating his graduation, and it ended in a tragedy.
Yeah, this one really is sad. So 24-year-old Jaden Barreto from Columbus, he had gone over to Alabama with a bunch of friends, and they basically went cliff diving. So last Wednesday, he had jumped off of a cliff called Chimney Rock into Lake Martin, and he just never came back up. So like they got a bunch of rescue crews out there to try to find him, and unfortunately, you know, they did find him, but it was several hours later at night, and, you know, it was too late for him. And like you said, he just graduated from UGA. I think he had degrees in like management information systems and psychology. So, you know, it's super sad, you know, because he had like his whole future ahead of him, and he went out to celebrate and something like this happened. I did see like an obit for him, and there's going to be like a visitation next Wednesday afternoon, and that will be followed by a celebration of life service. So if anyone in the community knows him and wants to attend, there's like a link to that information on our website.
Yeah, very sad story here. And yeah, thanks for bringing this to our attention. It's hard to talk about stories like this, especially because, you know, a lot of these students just want to go out and celebrate graduating, which is a huge milestone in somebody's life. And this ends in tragedy. What a traumatic situation for the family members of the student and also his friends.
Yes, definitely. In fact, I was telling Tanya earlier that my kids used to go cliff diving when they were young, and it just scared me to death, you know, that something like that would happen. So, yeah, it's a terrible thing. So really thinking about, you know, all of those that knew him and his family right now.
Yes, and this last story is a little bit lighter, so we're ending here on a lighter note about these Waymo cars that people have been talking about a lot on social media.
Yeah, this has been all over social media for the last couple of days. It is pretty funny. So this happened over in Buckhead. I think Battleview Drive is where it happened exactly. And this video shows like all these Waymo cars. I think they were Jaguar SUVs. And it's just like one after the other. They're like rolling down the street. They get to the end of the street, which is like a cul-de-sac. And then they turn around and go right back out. And there were actually several videos posted of this online. It was just like spreading like wildfire. You know, it's really funny. So, you know, we did reach out to Waymo, and Waymo explained that, you know, there was a lot of things happening over the weekend, obviously, in the Buckhead area. So like all the cars were like staging, you know, waiting for someone to schedule a ride with them. But they weren't supposed to end up like on this one street, you know, they're just supposed to be kind of like spread out. And for some reason, they all ended up on this one street. So, you know, Waymo, they apologized, you know, said that they hope it didn't like disturb too many people. And they also said, you know, they are working with their third-party vendor, you know, to figure out exactly how this happened and make sure it doesn't happen, you know, in the future. But yeah, it was a funny video, and a lot of people have been like really interested in it.
You know, my first time seeing these cars was when I moved to the city of Atlanta just, you know, a few months ago. So it's pretty interesting just to see cars on the road without any drivers.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, driving to work like every morning because of where we're located, you know, it's kind of a pretty populated, popular area. And I see them every morning, like 3 or 4 cars just within a span of, you know, a few minutes.
Me too. Yes, I see them coming into work. I see them in the neighborhood. There'll be a few of them dropping people off. So, you know, this is where we're heading now, I guess. But hopefully this doesn't happen again here.
Yep, hopefully.
Well, Joyce, thank you so much for joining us to talk about what's trending on Fox Local and Fox5Atlanta.com. Guys, we're going to continue with our top stories here. Governor Kemp extending his executive order. He has extended the state gas tax holiday here. He signed that executive order on Friday. He made this extension for 2 additional weeks, expected to end on June 3rd. Our Brittany Edney has more on what you can expect ahead of the Memorial Day holiday weekend.
This executive order aims to help keep prices at the pump down here throughout the state. In fact, here in Metro Atlanta, the average price for a regular gallon of gasoline is $4.02. But keep in mind, that's 50 cents lower than the national average.
Governor Brian Kemp has issued an executive order to extend the gas tax suspension. It was first suspended in March and set to expire Tuesday night, but now that savings will continue for another 2 weeks. Governor Brian Kemp said in a statement, quote, "Along with our partners in the legislature, we have remained committed to giving hardworking Georgians relief wherever available, and this action is another fulfillment of that promise."
We pay less than most of the U.S. here in Georgia, but, you know, obviously it's not where you want the gas prices to be higher. I'd like to see them much lower.
The state's motor fuel tax is valued at just over 33 cents per gallon of regular gasoline and just over 37 cents per gallon of diesel. It was first suspended in March and was set to expire on Tuesday.
With the traffic the way it is, you're sitting at a light, the gas is gone, you know, especially for a vehicle like mine. I have an SUV, a big one here, and it burns gas.
AAA anticipates around 39 million Americans will be hitting the roads for Memorial Day weekend. And right now, gas prices are the highest they've been since summer of 2022. And that increase is being felt.
Yeah, I think they're extremely huge right now. A big concern, definitely. Hopefully we can figure out some ways to get it down soon.
I think it's a bit egregious right now. A gallon's up to $4, over exceeding most places, so I think it's a bit crazy.
Barring any type of further extension, this gas tax suspension is set to run through June 3rd. In DeKalb County, Brittany Edney, Fox 5 News.
Again, that gas tax suspension extended for an additional 2 weeks to help Georgians, who are struggling financially. So a very good initiative here from the governor. Time is 1:49 when we return. We'll talk about swimming and the importance of learning how to swim ahead of the summer season. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Did you know that over 55% of adults have never taken a swimming lesson? So learning how to swim is so important ahead of the summer season, as many of us head to the beach, to the lake, and also get in the swimming pool. So a local YMCA is working to make sure that you know how to swim. Our Eli Jordan joins us live with more on this and all that you need to know. Eli, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon, Jasmine. Yeah, 1 in 3 Georgia kids do not know how to swim. That's 33% of Georgia youth. They don't know how to swim. And it is a life skill. Not only can it save your own life, but you can help save somebody else's life who might be struggling. And with Memorial Day and summer coming up, summer break, it's on a lot of people's mind. Keep those kids safe. And the YMCA across Greater Atlanta, they're, omitting their membership fees. If you want to come bring your kid to the Y, you can get them in. Just pay for the swim lesson. You don't have to pay for a membership or anything. So forget the membership. Come on down. Get your kid into swim lessons at any Y across Greater Atlanta. But right now I'm talking to a mom. She's got 4 kids, and she knows that they all know how to swim. And Connor Carlson, how you doing?
I'm good.
So you got a Rhett down in the water there.
I do.
He is your youngest, right?
He's my youngest of 4.
4 years old. And but all your kids have taken swim lessons, correct?
Yes, all of them have taken some lessons through the Y.
And why is it important? You told me that their dad is a big swimmer and all that, but why are the lessons important?
Well, for me personally, I've got 4 kids I've got to protect and keep safe in the water anytime I'm out there with them, and they need to know it's a life skill. It's a life-saving skill. They need to know how to, function in the water and know how to save themselves if they get into a bad predicament. And so the Y is where we've learned to do that,
And so Rhett, you said this is his, 3rd or 2nd year?
It is his 2nd year of swim lessons. Yeah, he started as a 2.5-year-old, and yeah, we started with the Mommy and Me baby class and then moved up to the small group lessons that he's doing right now. And, he started from not liking water in his face to all of a sudden just now he is confident enough to just cannonball in the water.
Let's talk about that confidence, because when we see, just we hear about people panicking, swimming, when they think they're drowning, they panic, and that's one of the key factors of losing, not sucked in a mouthful of water and all that. But I mean, how is Rhett's confidence around the pool nowadays?
You know what? He has a little bit of a healthy fear. I think he's very confident in the water. His skills have improved immensely. He has gone from not being able to swim at all, and in a year and a half essentially became quite the little fish, and he's able to swim very well, and he's learned life-saving key skills like swim, flip over on his back, call for help, all those kinds of things that are really important when you're taking little guys out into the pool.
What about your confidence as a mother, sending him out? Maybe he's going with a few other friends and their parents or something like that. Does this, put you at ease knowing that he has been trained in swimming?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I take all 4 of my kids to the pool, I'm constantly 1, 2, 3, 4, making sure I see all their heads. So having him know how to swim and know how to protect himself and get to the side of the pool and climb out or call for help or whatever he needs to do, like that's something you can't, money's not too much, it's not too great to just be able to have that forever.
And having all the other kids too. I mean, that's important.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they can all kind of lean on each other, I guess.
Absolutely. Not in the water.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We can float on each other. Anyways, but that is great that you've got your kid out here learning Rhett Carlson out there. Conan, thank you very much. That's what's going on out here. Greater Atlanta YMCA's are, foregoing the membership fees, so you can just bring your kids in here. You got to pay for the swim lessons, but you don't have to worry about a membership to come to the YMCA and give lessons. But it's important. We've got the holiday upon us, and then summer break. Get those kids in the water, teach them some swimming lessons. Back to you, Jasmine.
All right, Eli, thank you. Some very important information. I learned how to swim at the Y as a kid, so I agree it's so important that you know how to swim, especially ahead of summer season. Eli, thanks for joining us to talk about this. And thank you all for joining our news stream here during this 1 o'clock hour. Our news continues at 2.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here on your Monday afternoon. We've got a lot of news to get to, as we always do. So let's talk about something happening here within our city. A lot of questions are still surrounding that deadly shooting on the deadly stabbing on the Atlanta BeltLine. And the video you're seeing is video we just got into our newsroom showing the arrest of the suspect in that stabbing. You can see the man lying there on the ground as officers move in to arrest him at a church in Midtown. Ultimately, officers spotted the suspect along Peachtree Street near St. Luke's Episcopal Church around 5:25 p.m. last Thursday. Investigators say 2 officers spotted the bicycle that the man had been riding tied to those attacks, and they arrested him without incident. The backstory here is that 21-year-old Jahmare Brown, police say, stabbed 23-year-old Alyssa Paige last week on the 1700 block of Flagler Avenue Northeast. Now, Paige was taken to Grady Memorial Hospital, where she later died from her injuries. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office identified her Friday, and since then there have been a lot of questions in the community about how this unfolded, how this happened, and ultimately what we can do to create a safer Atlanta. According to police, officers were first alerted just after noon to reports of a stabbing just north of Montgomery Ferry overpass. From there, authorities say Brown had already attacked a U.S. Postal Service worker with a rock before that deadly stabbing even happened involving Alyssa Paige. Now, ultimately, police say that Brown fled both of the scenes there on the bicycle, and they say that they're trying to figure out more as to his motive. Investigators believe that Brown may have been experiencing a mental health crisis during those attacks, but they have not clarified that further. Authorities have also not explained what led to the assaults on the postal worker or how Brown even came to encounter the victim, Alyssa Paige, on the BeltLine. Police do say that postal worker and another victim hurt during the violence are expected to recover. So we'll keep you updated as this situation moves forward. In the meantime, I want to talk about something that's happening tomorrow, and that would be Election Day here in our primaries in Georgia. A lot of candidates campaigning last minute as many of you head to the polls tomorrow if you haven't already voted early. So let's get out live to our Rob DeRienzo, who's covering the latest. Rob, it's great to see you. What's happening on this Monday afternoon?
Hey there, Ariel. Good afternoon to you. I'm in front of the Georgia State Capitol. It is an incredibly busy day in Peach State politics as we are watching 3 major races. We're talking about the U.S. Senate primary tomorrow, along with the governor's primary, and then the Secretary of State's primary. So there's going to be a lot going on. I want to take you to some video from an event earlier today. This was Governor Brian Kemp stumping in favor of U.S. Senate candidate Derek Dooley, who he has endorsed. Now, as the governor leaves office, what happens at the polls tomorrow will be a test of his political power if he's able to put his thumb on the scale, so to speak, and have Dooley win tomorrow. The question here is if Georgia Republicans will agree with the governor that Dooley is the best person to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff come November. Now, Congressman Mike Collins and Buddy Carter have also been trying to reach the MAGA base with their campaigns. But notably, President Donald Trump has stayed on the sidelines of this race. It is a race Republicans across the nation will watch, and we're already taking a close look at voter turnout numbers. We spoke with both Democrat and Republican strategists. Listen.
The numbers are not encouraging as far as the Democrats being way up as far as their turnout is concerned. Now, I'm not that surprised by that because they've had more candidates. They fielded more candidates than they had in about 3 decades. So I'm excited about that part because I love competition.
Yes, in early voting, Democrats were ahead. But in early voting, there were very few young people, comparatively speaking, who voted early. So there's going to be a big focus in the next 48 hours on turning out as many young people to vote so that they start that practice with the primary and carry through to November.
Right. And in the race to become Georgia's next governor, President Trump has endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, and that's become a particularly bitter race among Republicans, with billionaire Rick Jackson pouring $50 million into campaign ads. This morning in Cherokee County, Jackson jumped on a plane to campaign around the state in an effort to get out the vote. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Attorney General Chris Carr are also fighting for the governor's mansion, but with more of an uphill battle. And back out here live, Ariel, outside of the state capitol, we're speaking with pollsters, including those with insider advantage, they tell us in all likelihood, all of these key races will be headed to a runoff just because there is so much competition. We're both talking about the governor race for Democrats and then all of the other races for Republicans. So it's going to be interesting to watch, Ariel.
Rob, always so interesting to watch here in Georgia. It's phenomenal to see just how things change over time, right? How Georgia might have been known as a primarily red state, and now we've started to see maybe that's not always the case. Definitely in certain communities, but as we watch what happens and what unfolds in the race for governor, who might take that spot, I know I have a lot of curiosities myself as I watch this unfold, just thinking about what do people really want in who they are electing to these leadership roles.
That's exactly right, Ariel. And historically, we've seen these midterm elections sort of be a referendum on whoever's in the White House. So, we normally see big gains of the opposite party. So it'll be interesting to watch. But, Republicans, especially in the Senate race, are just trying to position themselves for victory in November. As you mentioned, that is a race that they feel like they should have a Republican in the Senate representing Georgia because it is such a red state. So Republicans, even though tomorrow is really about what's happening inside the party, they want to elect a person that can defeat Jon Ossoff come November.
Rob, thanks as always for the conversation, letting us know where things stand with the race. I'll let you get back to it, and no doubt we'll see you again here this evening and for Election Day tomorrow. As we continue, you guys, Rob mentioned this, and I want to talk a little bit more about it. Certain races are no doubt headed to a runoff, and a new Insider Advantage poll actually shows the Republican primaries for the Georgia governor and the U.S. Senate are likely going to head to those runoff elections. The survey found that Rick Jackson is leading the governor's race, while Mike Collins remained ahead in the Senate contest. Now, one pollster, Matt Towery, also warned national Republicans about what he's called weak turnout during early voting. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes tomorrow during Election Day, when we see more people maybe planning to come out and vote then. But in the meantime, this is something we're going to follow closely and something we're going to watch for you tomorrow as we cover the latest on all things primary elections. Right here, you can follow the latest on Fox Local. Let's talk about some news of the day and what we're covering here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, because right now a mother is really frustrated after what she says is horrible bullying at a DeKalb County school. Ultimately, she says that her son, her 12-year-old son, was forced to leave McNair Middle School because of severe bullying. Tanisha Pitts is the name of this mother, and she says her son, Devoneer Pitts, struggled for months because of the bullying, so she made the decision to pull him out of school after one of these bullying incidents went viral. The mother says she was unaware of just how bad the bullying was until another parent recently sent her multiple videos showing her son being bullied inside of a classroom. One child slapped him in the face, and that same child that slapped him in the face dragged him by his hoodie on the ground on a dirty floor, she says. And that footage really left her devastated. She says that her son didn't come home and tell her about it, and she had to find out by seeing this video. She says she feels the district has not done enough to discipline the students involved in the incidents. And in her response to her concerns, she met with the school's principal and filed a police report before ultimately withdrawing her son from that middle school. And she wants other families to have conversations about bullying. She says it comes at home first, and it starts in the home. Now, ultimately, Devoneer is now attending a school on Atlanta's west side, and the DeKalb County School District addressed this situation in a statement, saying the top priority of the DeKalb County School District is to ensure a safe and comfortable learning environment for all students. Because of this, we take incidents of bullying at our schools very seriously. They say that they are investigating, and the principal plans to create a safety plan and will update moving forward. So we'll continue to keep you updated as that moves forward. And if you guys have any questions about that story, as always, I know you often do have questions as it relates to bullying in schools, just let me know and I will work to answer them. As we continue, I also want to let you know that a shooting investigation is underway after a 44-year-old woman was shot and killed Saturday afternoon in DeKalb County. And a man is now facing a murder charge. According to the police department in DeKalb County, officers responded Saturday afternoon to a report of a person shot in the 5,000 block of Martins Crossing Road. A huge law enforcement presence was spotted. You can see from this video we were able to capture there over the weekend. When officers arrived, they found 44-year-old Marinda Henderson suffering from multiple gunshot wounds inside of her car. Authorities say efforts to try to save her life were not successful and she died at the scene. They believe a 46-year-old man, Jaworski Rainey, a man that Henderson knew, pulled into the parking lot next to her vehicle, got out and opened fire. Police say Henderson tried to drive away after being shot but crashed her vehicle a short distance away. Investigators used flock technology to find Rainey's vehicle, and SWAT officers responded to the location and took him into custody without much incident. So this is an ongoing murder investigation, and we'll keep you updated as it continues. But let's switch gears and talk about something happening in Hall County today. And it's really just something to keep in mind as we look over the summer months, because Hall County is taking control of 11 sites from the Army Corps of Engineers at Lake Lanier. Our Ray Urena joins us live now from Lake Lanier. And Ray, I understand 11 and 12 million people visit Lake Lanier every year, so no doubt a place that sees a lot of people. What's the impetus for this management change of these sites?
Yeah, Ariel, to answer that, I got to take you back to last year, to last Memorial Day. If you remember, the Army Corps of Engineers sent out a press release last May at about this time, right before Memorial Day, that said that some of their sites would be closed due to some staffing shortages that included some boat ramps in and around the Lake Lanier area. Hall County officials tell me ever since that day, they've been working on this new management structure so that they can keep parks like this open and accessible to everyone. And that's what they say that the main reason was for this management change. Just to let you know that the Army Corps of Engineers is still going to own the parks. It's just that the county is now taking over the day-to-day operations. So like mowing the grass and providing services, custodial and janitorial services. Those are all things that the county is now taking on in place of the Army Corps of Engineers. And that partnership and that new agreement started today in Hall County. In total with this partnership, the county says they do have some costs with this. They do have to contract out to some third-party vendors to handle some of the custodial services and some of the janitorial services. But for the most part, with this new partnership, the county is allowed to keep any revenue that they get from these parks to themselves and allow them to reinvest it back into these parks. Now, there is some things that the Army Corps of Engineers is still responsible for, such as Ranger Patrol and security. They're still going to be handling all of that as long as, well, like capital improvements, aka the big improvements to the park, that's still under the Hall County, the Army Corps of Engineers jurisdiction. But Hall County says they're here to fill in the gaps and where they may fall. Now, I want to play this little clip from Hall County's Director of Parks, and he talks about this new partnership and why it's important.
We rely on the Corps of Engineers and Hall County Sheriff's Department for a lot of that, and Hall County Emergency Services as well. So our hope with this is that by us taking some of the burden of services off of the Corps of Engineers, you know, they're still responsible for the Ranger patrols and those security services, so they'll be able to focus more on that, which is, you know, what they're good at. So, like I said, I think the agreement that we've landed on has the opportunity to be a win-win for everyone.
And again, Ariel, this agreement was reached because that the park's several sites around Lake Lanier were closed to the public just a couple days before Memorial Day. The county says they want to avoid any type of situation happening again that's out of their control. So if something's happening in Washington, that the parks and the lake access is not affected. And like you said, there is about 12 million people a year that visit Lake Lanier every day. And it's one of the biggest drivers of revenue to the county, Ariel.
Ray, this is really good to know. It's interesting to see how they're changing and how it might make things a little bit more efficient in the long run for people who visit. I think a lot of people watching are probably thinking maybe about their summer plans and the lakes they plan to spend it on and wondering, you know, if this is really going to change much of their day-to-day experience at Lake Lanier. Did officials say anything maybe about that, or how where people should reach out for services? Does that change anything that they might normally do anyway?
That's a great question, Ariel, because officials told me, and I asked that same question to Hall County officials, and they say if we're doing this partnership correctly, then people will not see a change under this new management style. They say they will still be accepting their Army Corps of Engineers, America the Beautiful passes, or any passes that the Army Corps of Engineers sells. Those will still apply to any of these 11 sites. I'm going to actually look at my phone real quick to tell you all the 11 sites that we're talking about here. Those are the Ballast Creek Water Access Point, the Belton Bridge Water Access Point, the Burden Mill Day Use, the Little Hall Day Use, the Little River Day Use, the Lula Water Access Point, the Mountain View Water Access Point, the Simpson Water Access Point, the Robinson Day Use, the Old Federal Day Use, and the Van Pugh North Day Use. Now, I looked at an old press release from the Army Corps of Engineers. Some of these sites were included in that initial closing from the Army Corps of Engineers from last year. So it's just kind of like that. But like I said, just to reiterate, Hall County officials say that if you do have a Army Corps of Engineers, America the Beautiful pass, or any federal pass that used to grant you access to these parks before this management change, that is still going to be accepted and will continue to be accepted, except the money that you pay at the gate is now going to be redirected to Hall County instead of the federal government. Ariel.
Wonderful, Ray. Thanks so much for such a thorough breakdown. Really helpful to know as we head out this summer, and also helpful just to understand, like they said, if they're doing their jobs right, people won't know that it's under different management. So, Ray, thanks so much. Do appreciate it. As we continue, guys, let's talk about some stories we're following here on a national scale, because at this point, massive changes are coming to the federal student loan program on behalf of the Trump administration. And ultimately, the Trump administration has some goals with these changes. They want tomorrow's workforce to meet the country's needs, so they're making more federal money available for professions like welding, carpentry, and electricians. Some critics say this is going to make it harder for kids to go to college, but let's talk about it, because the Trump administration wants to reshape the federal loan program. Today, Education Secretary Linda McMahon announced the Workforce Pell Grant program, which is going to allow students to use Pell Grants to pay for credential and certification programs, not just traditional degrees. This has been a big change, as a lot of employers have said we need more skilled trades workers. The goal is to get them into short-term job training programs that would fuel the needs of lots of employers. Democrats say the grants will divert much-needed funding from other programs and reduce access to higher education for lower income students. That's because this change comes just a few days after the Trump administration announced a new cap on loans for graduate degrees. So now borrowing is going to be capped at just over $20,000 a year and $100,000 in total for graduate degrees. Loans for medical and law degrees will be higher at $50K a year and $200,000 total. So a little bit more money to be borrowed for those professions. But the Education Department claims it's going to go a long way in lowering tuitions. And the student loan caps did come out last year in the big, beautiful bill, and they go into effect on July 1st. So a little bit of backstory for you there, but wanted to make sure that you were aware as to what that looks like, because we are going to start seeing those changes. On Capitol Hill, meanwhile, a Senate parliamentarian has nixed funding for President Trump's ballroom. Ultimately, this is a big change, as the president's ballroom is facing another hurdle. Over the weekend, the Senate parliamentarian ruled against the $1 billion provision that was intended to fund that White House ballroom in that budget reconciliation package. So it's really back to the drawing board for Senate Republicans. They are this week revising part of their plan to fund immigration agencies under the Department of Homeland Security. The Senate's rule keeper, that parliamentarian, nixed those security funds for the overhaul of the East Wing, including that $1 billion provision intended to fund the ballroom that had been added into the reconciliation package. And basically the reason why is that the Senate parliamentarian ruled that provision that would allocate funds for the White House ballroom is simply not eligible for the fast track process. So it was a rules issue. Senate Democrats summarized the parliamentarian's position after meeting with her, saying, quote, a project as complex and large in scale as the president's proposed ballroom necessarily involves the coordination of many government agencies, which spans the jurisdiction of many Senate committees. As drafted, this provision does not fund activities outside of the jurisdiction of the Judiciary Committee. So ultimately, they're saying that this reconciliation package and the way it was written needs more oversight. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer responded to the ruling, saying that Democrats would be working to stop funding for the ballroom, saying that it costs way too much money. Still, the White House maintains the funds are needed to increase security, including detection technologies. The ballroom, the president says, is being funded by private donors. It's currently on track to be completed by 2028. If the additional funds are included for the project, the administration must now pursue standalone legislation or attempt to attach that funding to another omnibus package. Both paths could be challenging considering how divided both House and the Senate are, and any future vote on ballroom funding outside of that reconciliation would be subject to that 60-vote threshold in the Senate. So a lot to keep in mind there. Let's talk about the latest as to what is happening in Iran, because at this point, President Trump is expected to hold a meeting in the Situation Room with top national security advisors tomorrow after he warned Iran that the clock is ticking to make a deal. For the last 5 weeks, U.S. forces in the Middle East have focused on keeping commercial ships from going to and from Iranian ports, effectively shutting down Iran's economy. But the regime still has not guaranteed to give up its nuclear ambitions. And some lawmakers say this might leave for the president with only one choice: more bombs on Iran. The president told Axios if Iran does not come back with a better deal, the United States is going to hit them harder than ever before. But on Capitol Hill, Democrats are working to gain more Republican support for a war powers resolution. That would ultimately keep the administration from reigniting the war. The measure keeps falling short, and at least one Democrat, John Fetterman, a senator, continues to side with the White House. Now, despite warning time is of the essence before his trip to China, the president does seem willing to wait. Take a listen to a brief moment of what the president had to say, as well as Senator Fetterman.
Never a deadline. It'll happen. It'll happen, but never a deadline.
You know, the Iran situation right now, I'm very much aware how damaging it is as a Democrat to vote with the president. This the 7th time that I've done that, because I fundamentally believe that Iran should never acquire a nuclear bomb. And that used to be all of every single Democrats had held that view as well, too.
So ultimately, Iranian state media continues to report its leaders sent a 14-point plan to Pakistani mediators to present to the United States today. We'll see if anything is able to come from that. I'm taking a look at our time, guys, and at this point, I want to say we are going to switch gears in just a little bit. We are going to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes for a look at your weather forecast, let you guys know what is on the way here to the North Georgia area. And as we continue, I do want to get you the latest on an Ebola outbreak. That is the latest that I want to follow for you guys as we continue here. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here on your Monday afternoon. We've got meteorologist Alex Forbes here. And Alex, I have to say, I cannot believe how dry and not humid it still feels in May in Atlanta.
We got to go outside now.
Has it changed?
Yeah,
okay.
This afternoon.
Okay.
Look, I was standing out there on the weather deck for Fox 5, actually for Good Day Atlanta at 10, and I was like, okay, here it is. This is what we've been missing here across Metro Atlanta.
It's starting.
In North Georgia. I tell you what, Matt, if we do graphics to one of the digs, then it should come up, hopefully. We'll cross our fingers. It's 84 in Atlanta right now. Breeze out of the southeast, 86 now in Covington. We tied a record yesterday, hit 90. Ooh. So that tied the daily high temperature record. There it is, there in Dig 2. And it's another warm one today. The difference from yesterday to today is that we're not seeing as much in the way of shower and storm activity out there. So 82 in Blairsville right now, 81 over in Gainesville. And for the remainder of the afternoon here, we're going to spend the next several hours in the 80s before we begin to cool into the evening tonight. So out the door for the remainder of the day, I'm forecasting 89 as a high temperature between 5 and 6 p.m. We'll call it still mostly clear. I would not rule out a stray shower into the evening. I know this particular model doesn't have it. It also doesn't have it for tomorrow, but I still think it's going to be possible, particularly with the moisture we have in the air, but then certainly by the time we get to Wednesday. So we've talked ad nauseum about how much we need rain.
Yeah.
If you can go find me a day where we haven't said that on Fox 5 since February, I will be impressed. But we're going to have the opportunity to start picking some up with daily rainfall chances. The problem is, though, is that it's not necessarily going to be widespread. So watch this now. Cold front's going to try to come into Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. And it's going to arrive, but it's not going to keep moving, right? It's going to stall out, and that's going to provide daily rain chances really Wednesday and beyond with scattered showers and storms. That's as far out as this particular model goes right now. We should have some more information for you here in the next hour. We'll get a new model run. All right, tomorrow's election day. Temperatures starting off in the upper 60s, mid to upper 60s, getting into the 80s quickly. Only a 10% chance of rain tomorrow. So you cannot go blame the weather for not voting. There you go. That's all I've got to say about that. And in the days to come, we're actually not going to be quite as warm. We're going to be in the low 80s by the time we get towards Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the trade-off is the rain chances are going up. You see 60, 70, 60, 50%. Really Wednesday and beyond. Again, we need it, and that's going to be our opportunity to start picking it up. So it's kind of like we're entering this summertime pattern, even though it's not totally that. It does have some reinforcing from the cold front that stalled out, but still, you know, it looks the same on the radar. So there's your drought monitor. We'll get new measurements tomorrow and a new drought monitor on Thursday. You add it all up here. Your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast, 10% chance of rain for Tuesday, Election Day, and then it's 60, 60, 70, 60, 50. I would not go canceling outdoor plans. That's my recommendation, all right? None of these days are going to be a washout. It's just a decent chance of rain each afternoon.
All right. Well, good to know, Alex, as I'm taking a look at this. And it's interesting to see this rainy pattern potentially and whether or not it's going to hold up.
Right. And I think the other thing with this, you know, we were talking about not canceling plans. Notice it's not just rain, it's thunderstorms, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're getting into the season now where people are spending a lot of time outside for the first time this year. If you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. I saw many instances yesterday where we were getting lightning strikes out ahead of where it was raining. So as pools open up and you're going to the lake and all this stuff, if you hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. You're going to hear me say that a lot.
Okay. Good to know. Alex, thank you so much, as always. All right, guys, let's continue on with some stories we're following here in the Fox 5 newsroom. The World Health Organization has declared a rare Ebola strain that is spreading in Central Africa as a world health threat, truly a global health emergency is what the World Health Organization says this rare Ebola strain is classified as. It's led to hundreds of suspected cases in Central Africa, and the CDC says it's working to remove affected Americans in the region. Public health officials are working to contain this outbreak. So far, there have been more than 300 suspected cases and dozens of deaths in Congo and neighboring Uganda. Sunday, the CDC says it's trying to make sure that the risk to the broader public remains low while they get affected Americans out. But ultimately, the World Health Organization believes that this rare type of Ebola is so threatening because there are no approved vaccines or treatments for this strain. It typically spreads through bodily fluids and can In fact, up to half of the people that it comes in contact with or infects, so a really high infectious rate. And keep in mind, there's a really bad humanitarian situation going on in South Sudan, so this is compounding the issue. Health officials are dealing also with that deadly hantavirus outbreak linked to a cruise ship, which we've talked about extensively. The MV Hondius, that cruise ship, along with more than 24 crew members, docked in the Netherlands just this morning, so that ship has made it back to the Netherlands to be disinfected, and it will be inspected by public health officials before it's cleared to sail again. Now, the World Health Organization ultimately is not recommending closing international borders as it relates to Ebola. They say this does not currently meet the threshold for a pandemic, so they're not going to do that just yet. But ultimately, if you want to know the rare strain of this Ebola virus, it is called the Bundibugyo virus, and it is a rare variant. There's no vaccine or approved therapeutics for this strain, and 80 people are believed to have died since the outbreak started in the Congo and neighboring Sudan. So I actually do want to take a minute to let you guys listen to the head of Africa's CDC. The head of Africa's CDC, he says that a investment in African healthcare is needed. Further, he says that these outbreaks, when they happen, sometimes seem to be isolated, but can have broader impacts for the world. So take a listen.
Ebola has so many strengths. What is known mostly is what we call the Zaire strain, that is killing so many people. And the case fatality rate is more than 70-80% if there is no support. Fortunately, we have medicines and vaccines for the Zaire strain. But the second one, the Sudan strain and the Bundibugyo we are talking about, we don't have vaccine, we don't have medicine. The issue is we need in Africa to start to say we must manufacture vaccines, medicines that we need. Because we cannot, on a daily basis, when we have an outbreak, to be on panic mode. Currently, I'm on panic mode because people are dying. I don't have medicines. I don't have vaccine to support countries. Yesterday, I called for a meeting of all partners. We have some candidate vaccine, some candidate medicine. We are pursuing this route. We hope that we can have something in the next coming weeks. This is the equity issue. And Western countries, they don't understand that when Africa is affected, they are also at risk because people are flying every day. And it means building strong system, supporting Africa, investing in Africa to have the local manufacturing of our vaccine and medicine is also the way to protect Western countries.
So you got to hear a little bit about how he points out we are all interconnected. You know, just because an outbreak might happen in one part of the world, we're all flying every day, coming into contact with one another, and this is how things can ultimately spread. So something we're going to continue to keep an eye on. I do want to let you know that the Emory University health officials are set to hold a news conference at some point this afternoon where they're expected to discuss the hantavirus in greater detail, and we might get an update on those 2 patients who are believed to be at the Emory Health Care custody with the CDC as they're in that biocontainment unit. So we'll keep you updated on that. In the meantime, let's continue with something that we are learning here locally that is so exciting. Atlanta has just been declared the #1 best city for sports business. The Business Journal found Atlanta as the #1 city for sports business, and ultimately they say that Atlanta got the #1 spot for quite a few reasons. The 4th annual list is a extensive research done by the SBJ, or Sports Business Journal, and it's a highly anticipated list as they try to figure out what city takes that top spot. For its 4th annual list, they did an extensive data-driven look at more than 2,300 markets here across the United States. Those markets that house at least one professional or Division I collegiate athletic program. So there has to be a professional sport and or a big collegiate athletic program. And when the numbers were finalized, the data, industry leaders, and even rival markets agreed Atlanta stands alone at the top for sports business. According to the SBJ, Atlanta's rise to the pinnacle of sports business comes exactly 60 years after Atlanta built a new ballpark to entice the Milwaukee Braves to move south. Today, that sports ecosystem has become a global model for other markets. Now, Atlanta even outperformed massive media markets and traditional sports hubs to lead the pack. The top 5 cities on the SBJ's 2026 list include Atlanta, New York City, Indianapolis, Charlotte, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and those were the top 5. So really incredible when you think just that we beat New York City and even LA and other major markets. Ultimately, SBJ tracked an extraordinary number of national data points, including unique sports entities, construction projects, and more than 1,000 naming rights or uniform patch deals. So they even looked at total event attendance. And ultimately, Atlanta's top ranking was driven by its world-class venues, highly entrepreneurial team owners, blue-chip roster of corporate sponsors, and forward-thinking public officials. The city has consistently served as the epicenter for major events, including the Super Bowl, NBA All-Star Game, College Football Playoff, National Championship, MLS Cup, MLB All-Star Game, and the SEC Championship Game and Peach Bowl. So just rattling off so many incredible sports events that you can see in our city. And this summer, the World Cup is coming, which is also phenomenal. So we're seeing a lot of upgrades here in and around our city that are only going to continue this ranking from the standpoint of sports business. So really exciting for our city, and just wanted to let you guys know what we're seeing there from the Sports Business Journal. Let's talk about this really quickly, because no doubt you have seen this video on social media. This fleet of Waymos flooding a quiet street here in an Atlanta neighborhood, and it was a dead-end street in Buckhead. Some residents there got way more than they expected. As you can see, a seemingly endless supply of these SUVs just going in and around that traffic circle. But they just entered the road and continue to circle. Those videos taken along Battleview Drive show more than a dozen of the vehicles coming in and out. The vehicle fleet says in certain heavily traveled areas, they try to stage in nearby quiet areas to be able to meet demand. A spokesperson did admit this shouldn't come at the expense of the neighborhood's peace of mind. And so if that's happening, they're going to modify. But, you know, I've always wondered where the Waymos go if they're not collecting rides, if there was a staging area, and it does seem that they chose this cul-de-sac as one of those areas. Now, the company did not clarify what specific routing behavior caused the vehicle to target Battleview Drive or how many vehicles were affected by this routing error, but they say that they are working to fix it. So pretty crazy to witness. But speaking of robo-taxis, I do want to let you guys know that Elon Musk says that Tesla robo-taxis are expected to be more available this year. Tesla currently operates its driverless ride service in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and Houston, Texas. But Musk says these fully self-driving robo-taxis are going to become more widespread in the United States later this year. Musk told the Smart Mobility Summit the new details in Tel Aviv. He believes 5 years from now, and certainly 10 years from now, probably 90% of all distance driving will be in the AI sector in a self-driving car. The Tesla does lag behind Google's Waymo with robo-taxis, and Reuters is reporting the reporters who tested the Tesla service say it was plagued by long wait times, availability, and drop-offs far from the rider's destination. So curious to see how this is going to play out 5 or 10 years. Who knows? Maybe we will be buying self-driving cars. Definitely something to keep an eye on. As we continue, you guys, taking a look at our timing, we are going to be checking in with our Chris Rosenthal upcoming on a Memorial Golf Tournament. Why this is so impactful straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here on your Monday afternoon. Want to tell you about an incredible event happening today to raise money in memory of someone who the community misses very much and their family misses very much. Chris Rosenthal joins us live from the Memorial Golf Tournament, and I understand, Chris, we're raising a lot of money to honor Matthew Diaz, and his family is working to make sure that his death wasn't in vain. What can you tell us this afternoon?
Yeah, Matthew was killed in 2011. He was on a motorcycle. A car pulled in front of him, and he passed away in that accident. He was a young man, about 20 years old, and University of West Georgia student, avid golfer, member of the golf team, big love of golf. In fact, he worked here at the Brookstone golf course. So very fitting that today is the 15th annual Memorial Golf Tournament that is in his name. The family's been doing this ever since in his honor. He was known as a very charitable young man, a very devout Christian, did some mission work. And so about 100 golfers have showed up here today. You can see some of them here behind me to join into this tournament to raise money for a good cause. And I spoke with his mother earlier today, and let's take a listen.
Matt was just a loving young man, taken away too soon. He loved school, he loved golf, he loved his family. He was just one of those that had tons of friends, and everybody seemed to love him.
And you know, tell me about this golf tournament. How did you get this started? I mean, it's been 15 years now.
We started right after Matt was killed. He was killed in October, and his birthday is June 2nd. So we said, let's start doing a tournament on Mondays right before June 2nd on his birthday. So we started it actually 15 years ago. We're one of the longest running memorial golf tournaments at Brookstone, which is an honor. It says a lot about who he was. And our funds from here go to help young people go on mission trips. We're sending one to Guatemala to do a dental work this summer. We help West Georgia College students that might need a little extra hand in finances or anything they need. We're here to help them. We help families throughout the year that are in need. We're just always here to help whatever it might be. That's something Matt was big with, and his family as well.
Yeah, I mean, and golf was such a big part of his life. I mean, he just joined the team. Talk to me about what golf really meant to him.
Yeah, Matt lived for golf. He worked here at the country club as well as his brother and sister, Quinn and Mary Catherine Dias. He would work here until dark. Then he would go get his big boots on and they'd dig for balls here in the ponds. He would get up at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it took. He has been known to hit hundreds and hundreds of balls a day just practicing. He was at Georgia Southern, and he got called to play for West Georgia College and immediately came home and started with West Georgia College.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I really find fascinating about your story is that, you know, he was on a motorcycle, he was hit and killed by a driver in a car, and you asked the judge to forgive that person, huh? Yeah,
Matt would not have wanted us to punish her. She had just graduated the year before from West Georgia as a school teacher, and we knew if we gave her a felony, manslaughter, all that they were wanting to give her, she would never get through or have a job in life, really. Mm-hmm. So we chose to forgive her and ask the judge to do the same for her. So that's what Matt would have wanted, and we feel that's what we wanted. I hope she feels the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the golfers here coming in, finishing up here on the last hole and checking out here. So, you know, everybody here, a lot of these people that came out here know him. Some of them were good friends. Some of them have children that were friends with him, and just remember him as a really guy, and a lot of them were very, very, very sad when they heard the news that he had passed away. One of them I talked to said she was actually on the 4th hole playing golf when she found out that he had passed away about 15 years ago, and ever since then that course has maybe been that hole's been maybe a little bit blessed for them every time they play it. So you know, just a lot of love here for this young man. So.
Chris, a wonderful, wonderful effort, and just listening to his mother talk a little bit about why they decided to forgive the woman that they say ultimately hurt and killed their son. I mean, it's It really makes you think, to stop and think and consider things in life. And it's interesting that they say that they don't believe that's what their son would have wanted, and they wanted to make sure his legacy was honored in that way moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a very touching angle to this for sure.
Well, Chris, how can people get involved? I understand this is going on later today, and I understand they only take a certain amount of golfers, but if someone's listening, say they want to get involved next year, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can sign up. They can reach out. Also, there's a memorial fund you can donate to in his honor. That's I believe it. If it says on the sign there, donations can be made to any Wells Fargo. So
okay.
So there you go. So there are other options as well. So if you're not a golfer, so.
Chris, thanks so much for keeping us updated. I appreciate it. Thanks, and we'll see you again here upcoming at 3 o'clock. Guys, taking a look at our timing now, it does look like we have Eli Jordan up. So I don't know, maybe we switch gears here and we check in and see what he is up to in just a little bit with some swimming lessons. I know that one of the things we've taken a look at as it relates to swimming here in Georgia is that a lot of Georgians actually don't know how to swim, which is pretty crazy when you come to think about it. So given that we are approaching these warmer months and given that it is going to be hot outside before we know it, already it might feel like summer, let's check in with Eli Jordan at the Kennesaw YMCA, where of course, Eli, are you in the water? Are you learning how to swim? What's going on here?
Yes, I'm in the water. I'm doing it for television. And I got mixed minus too, by the way. But I'm having to figure out how to, wear everything without getting everything wet. But like you said, a recent Emory study in conjunction with the YMCA of Metro Atlanta, they discovered that 1 in 3 Georgians youth do not know how to swim without assistance. And I am with the swim instructor here at the Kennesaw Northwest YMCA in Kennesaw, Shannon Eddy. Hey Shannon, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And you're busy. You're already giving swimming lessons today and all that. You're going to have more going on today. Just tell me, are you surprised about the study? 1 in 3 youth here in Georgia don't know how to swim.
I'm not. So we are a diverse group. So everyone does not have access to water. But we are lucky enough that we do. We have Lake Allatoona right around the corner from my branch. But some of the metro Atlanta-wise do not have as much water access as us rural areas do. So having swim lessons affordable and convenient at the Y makes it accessible to everybody.
And over the past 5 years, Metro Atlanta YMCA has given over like 12,000 free swim lessons?
Yes, in the last 5 years, we've given 12,000 free swim lessons with our community partners, our Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and Gas South, who offer grants so that we can get out into the community and teach those that don't have access to come to us.
So tell me, if I'm interested in, getting my kid down here, what can I expect? I mean, how long is a swim lesson, class? How many weeks and all that? How many days during the week? All that good stuff.
Yes, so we are ramping up for the summer. Our summer lessons are a little bit more fit into your schedule, your vacation schedules. So we offer 4 classes for a week, and then you come back the following week. So it's 2-week sessions, so it's a commitment for 2 weeks, and you come every single day for 4 days in a row. And hopefully that gets you onto your swimming journey.
That's pretty intense right there.
Yes.
But also, though, we got the heated pools here, which are nice.
Yes.
To get ahead of the game, it'd be good wise to come here in the fall, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yes. So we teach swim lessons year round. We go all the way up until usually mid-December, and then we start back up in January. So January, February, March are amazing times to take swim lessons, to get that jump onto summer swim lessons and summer vacation plans and things like that.
I'm going to get your website out here before you have to go to break. We're running out of time. But ymcaatlanta.org/swim.
Yep, that's where you can find us.
That's where you can find all the pricing and the scheduling.
Yep,
and all that
swim
good
lessons
stuff.
at all of our locations.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, Shannon, Eddie. And that's what's going on here. Come on out here, learn how to swim. Bring your kids. They got some good rates out here, and it's a life skill. It's a life-saving skill, and so it's important to know how to swim. And that way you can be confident when you're at the pool, and you can be confident when your kids are out there, and nothing bad will happen, hopefully. So
Eli,
check it out.
thanks so much.
YMCAAtlanta.org/swim.
Okay, perfect, Eli. We'll see you again here coming at 3. Keep that microphone dry. We're going to need to talk to you again. As we continue here, you guys, coming up, we're going to check in with Fox 5 Sports about a historic baseball run for Georgia Tech. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Lexi Bowden, Fox 5 Sports. Lexi, it is so incredible to think about the kind of season Georgia Tech has had for their baseball team.
Yeah, it's honestly historic. I mean, last year was amazing. They were ACC regular season champions, and then this year they go out and do it again under first-year head coach James Ramsey. So incredible that he was able to do this in his first season at the helm. They went 45-9 in regular season play, which was their best record since 1920. So that's literally 126 years ago. They also went 25-5 in conference. So just really had amazing marks this year. They also led ACC in batting average at .357, also the lowest ERA in conference play. So really looking forward to them heading into tournament play this week.
I'm excited, and it is incredible to think about how under two different coaches they've managed to receive such incredible outcomes.
Yeah, of course they had their head coach retire last year, and James Ramsey, the new head coach, was on Georgia Tech staff for about 7 years. So he's very familiar with the program, and this group of guys is amazing. I was there earlier today, and we heard from one of the players about why he thinks this year's team is different.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's obviously a lot of things that separate this year's team from last, and I think the biggest thing is the amount of experience, I guess, that we have now. And we had a lot of guys that were younger and a lot of guys that were just kind of, even if they weren't younger, it was a lot of guys first year playing ACC baseball and playing high leverage baseball. So I mean, just realistically, there was some times last year where the game got a little quick on us and things got out of control, and it was hard to bring back to it in big moments. And I think this year is one of the most winningest group of guys I've ever seen. I mean, you've watched it throughout the season, whether it's a 3-1 game or a 20-0 game or a 12-15 game, we've managed to win them all.
And so the regular season champs, but now they turn their attention to the tournament that starts this week in Charlotte, actually at Truist Park, not the Truist Park here, but in Charlotte. They're going to travel there on Wednesday, and then they'll end up playing either Virginia, NC State, or Duke on Thursday. Just depends how well those teams do.
This is amazing. We're going to have to keep a close eye on the Georgia Tech team. I will say I am supportive of them. I want them to do well, but I come from a baseball school, so
they play tomorrow. They're what? They're the number 9 seed, and they play Missouri tomorrow. So SEC, and Georgia is the number 1 seed in the SEC baseball tournament, so they'll play Thursday. And then, of course, Kennesaw State is hosting the Conference USA baseball tournament this week, too. So lots of championship baseball going on here.
Love it. Lexi, as always, thanks so much for the update, and thank you guys so much for being live here with us on Fox Local at 2 o'clock. The 3 o'clock with Tom Haynes is just about to begin. Stay tuned.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday afternoon here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, here to guide you through the next hour of stories that are making headlines and that matter to you. We're going to begin with that deadly incident on the BeltLine that happened last week that you saw unfold right here on Fox Local during the 3 p.m. hour. And we have new video that shows the moment Atlanta police tracked down a man accused of a deadly stabbing along the BeltLine. Again, this happened in the Ansley area, right next to the Ansley Country Club, behind Ansley Mall off Monroe Drive. And that section of the BeltLine, investigators say the 21-year-old Jahmare Brown fatally stabbed 23-year-old Alyssa Paige on Thursday afternoon. Police say Brown fled the scene on a bicycle after also attacking a postal worker with a rock. They had a pretty good ID on him from the outset. All right, they released some pictures in what's called a be on the lookout. And this is the moment you could see guns drawn. They caught up to him. He gets down on the floor as instructed, his bike there on its side. Officers move in for the arrest. There were questions about his mental capacity, and that will be an issue moving forward as he goes to trial. Officers spotted that bike in the Midtown area, later arresting Brown, as you saw, without incident. He now faces multiple charges, including murder. On to another big story. Of course, as you know, tomorrow is primary day, and Fulton County Commissioner Rob Pitts, among many other candidates, is facing his stiffest challenge yet. We will talk strategy with Georgia Gang's Theron Johnson in just a moment. Want to get out to our Angelique Proctor, who is covering this particular race for us, and much more. Angelique, tell us where things stand right now.
Well, clearly the countdown is on. Election Day just hours away, and this has actually become a very competitive race. In fact, one of our Georgia Gang political analysts has predicted this race will get to a runoff. Now, longtime Atlanta and Fulton County politician Rob Pitts is being challenged by not just one, but two other commissioners, veteran District 5 Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. and District 4 Commissioner Mo Ivory, who had to step down to join this race. Now, Georgia Gang political analyst Theron Johnson believes this race has gotten so competitive that there will be a runoff. He says the two candidates who can make the runoff will be the ones who can build a more unified coalition of supporters.
You cannot live in Fulton County and not know that there's a very competitive race for Fulton County chair. Like all the other residents, I have received numerous mail pieces, text messages, phone calls, and I'm seeing yard signs pop up everywhere. This is a very, very competitive race, which I think are on the top of minds for a lot of Fulton County voters.
So actually there was a strong Democratic voter turnout for early voting. What does that say for this race?
Early voting in Fulton County right now is at a record high, but if you really look at the breakdown, it's about 45% of African Americans who turn out, 40% of white, and then the remaining percentage, 15%, are others. That actually bodes very well if you're an African American candidate running for commission chair, like we see all of them are. The question is, how do you get the white vote and the other votes? Who can actually go beyond their base to be able to get more Latino, more Asian, and white voters? I think that is going to determine who's going to make the runoff.
And newsflash here, Tom, there is a Republican in this race. He is Eric Tatum. He's not expected to have a strong showing in democratically heavy Fulton County, but he is, in fact, on the ballot. Now, Johnson evaluated all three of the front runners.
Rob Pitts, from what I've seen so far, has been able to raise a great amount of money. He's actually been on the ballot for a long time. Voters in Fulton County, they know Rob Pitts. While he is an African-American male, he has an enormous amount of support in North Fulton. The question is, can he actually get the amount of people he needs to vote for him in South Fulton? The Arrington name is a well-known name, not only just in Atlanta, but the entire Fulton County. We all know how great of a servant his dad was, and he's been on the commission for a while. He represents a southern part of Fulton County that I think a lot of voters are going to resonate. But can he actually go north and can go into the Midtown area to basically show that he can build that coalition? But he's got on that first. He's been very defiant, and I'm seeing a lot of his social media and endorsements that he's rolled out. Mo Ivory is a newcomer to the Fulton County Commission, has been there for just one term, but she's not a newcomer when it comes to politics in Georgia. She's worked on numerous campaigns, and when she won this race, she was actually a person who defeated an incumbent at the time. She's doing a great job on social media.
Now, lastly, Johnson says we should look at the money raised. And, of course, Pitts leads the pack there with $400,000. Mo Ivory's campaign really hasn't filled out any disclosures since January, but she tells me today that her campaign has raised $350,000. And then you have Marvin Arrington Jr., whose campaign has raised $250,000. So suffice to say, a lot of people will be watching this race. Tom?
It's incredible, Angelique, that Rob Pitts finds himself in this position. He's been at this almost 10 years as chairman of the Fulton County Commission. What do you attribute Arrington and Barrett's rise in the polls and this challenge from an incumbent who should comfortably head into this election?
Well, Arrington and Mo Ivory are both saying it is time for new leadership. They point to Rob Pitts' age. He is about 84 years old, will turn 85 before the end of the year. And they say it's time for new, younger, more enthusiastic leadership to fight off a lot of the challenges that Fulton County sees. But Pitts certainly disagrees. He believes he's up for the challenge, and the voters will have the last word.
Is there one big issue, like is it the Fulton County Jail? Is something upsetting voters that are motivating them to head to the polls this time around to give these challengers against Pitts the votes they need to make this thing head into a runoff?
I hear a lot of people concerned about the right to vote and the challenges there that we've seen with the Supreme Court and the fact that the ballots were picked up in Fulton County. A lot of people are concerned about those issues and want to make sure that Fulton County's voters are protected, that their right to vote is protected, and that their ballots are not tampered with, and this whole thought of an investigation. And Rob Pitts said many times that he had been told that he would be arrested. That, of course, at this point has not come to fruition, but all three of them are really talking about fighting the Trump White House.
Yeah, you're right to bring up the FBI raid at the Fulton County election headquarters. Pitt's definitely having to reconcile all that, and perhaps that, as you said, will be on voters' minds as we head into Election Day tomorrow. Angelique Proctor covering every angle of this race for us this afternoon. Angelique, thanks so much. On to another story. A statewide poll out today suggests that Georgia Republican primaries for both governor and U.S. Senate could undoubtedly head into a runoff. The new Insider Advantage survey shows that Rick Jackson, the independent billionaire businessman, is leading the GOP race for governor with 31% of the vote, followed closely by Burt Jones, the Trump-backed Georgia gubernatorial candidate, at 27%. In the race for U.S. Senate, Mike Collins leads the field at 32%, with Derek Dooley, the man that Governor Brian Kemp has endorsed, moving into the number 2 spot ahead of Buddy Carter. Pollster Matt Towery says that a lack of undecided voters in the governor's race makes a runoff highly likely between Jackson and Jones. He is also warning national Republicans that weak early voting turnout could hurt the party in the fall, as state data shows Democrats already holding a 150,000 ballot lead as we head into tomorrow's races. A Metro Atlanta mother says severe bullying forced her to pull her 12-year-old son out of McNair Middle School in DeKalb County. Tanisha Pitts says that she recently decided to withdraw her son after a parent sent her viral video showing the boy being slapped and dragged by his hoodie in a classroom. Can you imagine being a parent, being the recipient of that kind of video? Enough to outrage any parent. The footage prompts Pitts to file a police report and meet with the principal because she feels the district did not do enough to discipline the students involved. In a statement, the DeKalb County School District says that it takes all bullying incidents very seriously and an investigation will be underway. She's already started a new school on Atlanta's west side, and the mother is now urging other parents to have open daily conversations with their children about bullying, something that schools are usually pretty aggressive with doing. There's no place for hate campaigns that happen in schools, and that is a constant message throughout the school year, one that schools try to impart to young people, but obviously in some cases that slips between the cracks. A man now facing murder charges following a fatal shooting in DeKalb County over the weekend. Police say 44-year-old Marinda Henderson was found suffering from multiple gunshot wounds inside her vehicle Saturday afternoon along Martin's Crossing Road. Investigators believe 46-year-old Jaworski Rainey knew the victim and opened fire on her car in a parking lot before Henderson tried to drive away and crashed. SWAT officers later used flock camera technology to track down Rainey's vehicle at a home on Summit Lake Drive, where he was taken into custody without incident. As we continue, still a lot more ahead here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. Among them, checking on our weather and some news from the Trump administration as we continue. hit by recent wildfires. Their nonprofit collecting critical supplies and hauling them directly to livestock owners who are in need. Our Doug Evans on top of this story for us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here at Morgan's Market just outside of Newnan in Coweta County. This is a really cool greenhouse, market, nursery, gift shop. They sell a lot of local products from places that produce them right here in Georgia. I'm here to introduce you to Meg and Tommy Morgan. They own Morgan's Market, but they also own Coweta Greenhouses, and that is a huge wholesale growing operation for plants, shrubs, flowers, you name it. If you have bought a plant at a local store anywhere in the southeast, it's could have come from Coweta Greenhouses right here just outside of Newnan. One of the things that they have been doing lately since the hurricane that hit North Carolina, Hurricane Helene, is providing relief to farmers who badly need relief supplies for their livestock, for their industry, whatever. Meg and Tommy recently went down to the devastated areas in South Georgia where the wildfires consumed so many farms and farmland. Here we've got the fires down in South Georgia.
Yes.
What did you see when you recently went down there?
It's a very open area. There's not a lot there in between these towns, and unfortunately it did go through some of the towns that are there, and it's a lot of open ag land and private farms that lost pretty much everything. I mean, they lost their farm, they lost their houses, they lost their cars, and it was just, it came through, and thankfully there wasn't a lot of animal loss. They did get most of those out, but it was purely all the structures and their materials and their supplies, and they'd already been in a drought, so they lost their hay and everything else going into the spring and the summer as well.
What is the immediate need down there right now?
A lot of it's rebuilding stuff for a lot of chicken coops, dog kennels and dog runs, and animal It's not going to be short term. It is not. It is definitely more of a long-term, looking at a long-term situation to get these places rebuilt, even if they're small or larger operations.
And you went down last week. What kinds of things did you bring? And you can jump in here anytime you want, Tommy.
Oh gosh, go ahead.
Well, what did we take down?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we had loaded our flatbed with, I don't know, we had about 6 or 7 pallets of feed, various types of feed, all donated from some individuals, but mostly from...
There was our local feed stores were really helpful, and we put this all together in a day. So Arnold Grocery, Southern Charm Feed, and Bar W in Grantville, they all pitched in and donated some feed as well, on top of personal donations from people that follow us and support us. But goat, cattle, horse, sheep, chicken, so took down mostly feed items, and then made contact with some people down there to get some extra needs.
What are you bringing next time?
Need to bring hay and feed again, but also trying to get together the stuff for the chicken coops for rebuild, so lumber, wire, and thankfully everybody knows what they're doing there, so they really just need the supplies, and they're happy to rebuild themselves.
How can people help?
We have on Miracles Ag Relief on Facebook. We also, it's miraclesagrelief.org. We have a donation app that you can go through, and monetary donations are the best just because I'm able to procure all these items in one place instead of just taking handfuls of things. But if anybody wants to bring dog and cat and horse feed as well, we are happy to take them at Morgan's Market in Newnan.
You guys, this area down there is like the breadbasket of Georgia.
It is.
You know, it's what feeds us.
It does. Yep. And then again, they've been in a severe drought before this. So it was already on a little bit of shaky ground before these fires came through.
If you'd like to donate, you can find them both online and on social media. It's miraclesagrelief.org, or on social media, it's Miracles Ag Relief. I'm Doug Evans, Fox 5 News in Coweta County.
All right, Doug, thanks. Also here at 3 o'clock, a new Trump administration policy looks to reshape the nation's student loan system. Education Secretary Linda McMahon announced that the new workforce Pell Grant program on Monday, which allows students to use federal Pell Grants for short-term credentials and certification training rather than just traditional degrees. The White House says the goal is to push students toward manufacturing and trade jobs that employees need to fill right now. But critics argue that the grants divert critical funding away from higher education, making it even harder for low-income students to attend college. This comes just days after the administration placed new caps on graduate school loans set to go into effect on July the 1st. The White House ballroom project facing a major roadblock this week after a critical ruling on Capitol Hill. Over the weekend, the Senate parliamentarian nixed a $1 billion security provision for the East Wing overhaul from the fast-track budget reconciliation package. Democrats call the billion-dollar ballroom funding a palace project a disgrace and say that they are ready to block any future attempts to revive it. But the Trump administration argues the additional funds are critical for national security, including needed counter-drone technology for the White House complex. To Iran now, and the president making some news on that front this afternoon. President Trump is convening a high-stakes Situation Room meeting with his top national security advisors tomorrow, following a stern new warning to Iran that the clock is ticking to make a deal. The move comes after 5 weeks of a crushing U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports intended to force the regime to give up its nuclear ambitions, while Democrats and some Republicans are pushing a war powers resolution on Capitol Hill to prevent further escalation. Independently aligned Democrats like Senator John Fetterman continue to side with the White House on enforcing stronger sanctions.
Never a deadline. It'll happen. It'll happen, but never a deadline.
You know, the Iran situation right now, I'm very much aware how damaging it is as a Democrat to vote with the president. This the 7th time that I've done that, because I fundamentally believe that Iran should never acquire a nuclear bomb. And that used to be all of every single Democrats had held that view as well, too.
Iranian state media reports that the clock is ticking and that they are ready to make a deal. However, you heard the president that there's no timeline on this, and what John Fetterman said about supporting President Trump's ambitions. The World Health Organization is monitoring a global health emergency that they have declared following a deadly outbreak of a rare Ebola strain in Central Africa. Officials report more than 300 suspected cases and at least 80 deaths in the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Uganda. The outbreak is driven by the rare variant, which currently has no approved vaccine or treatment. The CDC says it is actively working to relocate a small number of Americans in the affected region, but emphasizes the risk to the general public remains low.
Ebola has so many strengths. What is known mostly is what we call the Zaire strain, that is killing so many people, and the case fatality rate is more than 70-80% if there is no support. Fortunately, we have medicines and vaccines for the Zaire strain. But the second one, the Sudan strain and the Budibug we are talking about, we don't have vaccine, we don't have a medicine. The issue is we need in Africa to start to say we must manufacture vaccines, medicines that we need, because we cannot on a daily basis when we have an outbreak to be on panic mode. Currently, I'm on panic mode because people are dying. I don't have medicines, I don't have vaccine to support countries. Yesterday, I called for a meeting of all partners. We have some candidate vaccine, some candidate medicine. We are pushing this route. We hope that we can have something in the next coming weeks. This is the equity issue. And Western countries, they don't understand that when Africa is affected, they are also at risk because people are flying every day. And it means building strong system, supporting Africa, investing in Africa to have the local manufacturing of our vaccine and medicine is also the way to protect Western countries.
Now, the health officials in the Netherlands are also disinfecting a cruise ship docked in Rotterdam in response to a separate hantavirus outbreak linked to the crew. Despite the recent outbreaks, however, demand for cruises may be picking up. Some industry experts say a record number of people worldwide are still expected to take cruises this year. An annual forecast by the Cruise Lines International Association released in mid-April estimated around 38.3 million people plan to travel on a cruise ship this year, which is up 4% from last year. This comes despite a recent outbreak of hantavirus on a cruise ship that killed 3 passengers and another outbreak of norovirus aboard a British ship that was docked in France. As we start our work week here on this Monday afternoon, joined by meteorologist Alex Forbes to talk about our weather. Alex, boy, since Saturday, Sunday, and then into Monday today, you really notice temperatures have gone up. Yeah. Humidity is up. Kind of starting to feel like summer out there.
It is. I was out on the weather deck at 10 a.m. on Good Day Atlanta, and that was the first time this year I was like, I regret not taking my jacket off. Yeah, it's a warm one out there, and I haven't been outside since, so I'm in for a shock this afternoon. 86 is where we stand right now in Atlanta, 83 in Canton, 82 in Blairsville, but as Tom was alluding to, that 86 feels different from what we've seen over the last several days because of that humidity we have out there, and that's going to stick with us here into the evening tonight. Temperature sliding from the 80s down into the 70s under mostly clear skies. That's going to allow overnight low temperatures to get down into the 60s in many locations. We'll say 65 in Atlanta, which is not too far off the average low. Now, tomorrow, big day here in the state of Georgia. It is election day. Temperatures starting off in the mid-60s, getting into the mid-80s. Another, we'll say, somewhat sticky day, but the rain chance, I actually took it away completely for tomorrow. So no chance of rain. You can't blame me for not voting. All right? That's how it's going to go. No weather concerns there. Temperatures could crack 90 in a handful of locations. Covington, Athens, I've got at 90. Rome, I've got at 90. Atlanta at 88. 87 in Gainesville. 86 in Blairsville. And 88 over in Dalton. And take a look at the countdown here. Getting closer to Memorial Day, now 7 days away, 1 week from today. Also, 2 weeks from today is the start of hurricane season, all right? So June 1st, not all that far off. And then, of course, that takes us into Flag Day, the first day of summer, and the 4th of July. There it is, lurking at the bottom of your screen. Only 47 days until America's 250th birthday. Let's go hour by hour here on the forecast model. There's tomorrow morning. Some clouds will be around, then on into the afternoon. Notice you get a couple of scattered showers back into Alabama. Not too concerned about those getting into Georgia. But by the time we get to Wednesday, this is going to be the start of an unsettled pattern. Now, the radar, Live Viper, is going to look like the summertime activity, but it's not entirely that, right? We've got this front moving into Metro Atlanta, North Georgia, and the problem is that front, you see it there, is going to stall out. So that's going to give us shower and storm chances really each day through Memorial Day weekend. Now, the rain chances, you're looking at them going, okay, well, that's kind of high, 50, 60%. That's just a decent chance of seeing rain at some point on those days. It's not a washout, right? So you're looking into Memorial Day weekend going Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 50, 60, 60. Don't go cancel your outdoor plans. Just have a plan B in the back of your mind for maybe a little while. We will have the chance of storms, and that's important to note, Tom. It's really the first time we've seen storm after storm after storm after storm. If you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. You're going to hear us beating that dead horse over the next week or so, because yesterday was the first day, we had those storms around. I saw on Live Viper those lightning strikes out ahead of those storms. Yeah. So we're getting into that time of year where that's a thing. We're getting into the time of year where pools are opening. So here we are.
I was in Peachtree Corners yesterday, about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yep.
About 7 o'clock.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Just got drenched in torrential rain and like sideways rain. That wind was howling yesterday in Peachtree Corners.
So for reference, my parents live probably 12 miles up 141 from there, and my mom texted me going, she knew the storm was down there going, they got 12 drops.
No,
That was
okay.
it. 12
Yeah.
drops of rain.
I got soaked head to toe.
You
But
got
then you
more than
drive
12.
south,
Right.
and it's a beautiful sunny day,
Right.
which, I mean, I kind of understand where you're going with it could rain somewhere
Right.
at some point.
It likely
All right.
will. It's just a question
of where.
Are you here or are you here? You know.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, why the rain doesn't kind of chip more away at the drought situation out there, because it's so scattered and random, right?
Yep.
All right.
Exactly. You don't get the widespread soaking rainfall we need.
Alex, thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes. Appreciate you streaming with us here on our mobile platform, at home, on one of our social media channels at Fox 5 Atlanta, or on the radio 107.9 HD2 FM. Take a look at this. Atlanta voted #1 for Best Sports Business City for 2026. A new data-driven report from the Sports Business Journal ranks the ATL at the top of more than 2,000 markets, edging out massive media hubs like New York and Los Angeles. Experts credit world-class venues like Mercedes-Benz Stadium and a deep roster of blue-chip corporate sponsors and entrepreneurial team ownership for securing the top spot. Timing could not be better as Metro Atlanta infrastructure gets a boost ahead of serving as the premier host city for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup. A seemingly endless parade of self-driving Waymo robo-taxis flooded a quiet Buckhead neighborhood recently caught on camera, repeatedly turning around in circles on a residential dead-end street. This is a story a lot of people were talking about, video that hit a lot of people's social media feeds. Videos taken along Battleview Drive show more than a dozen empty all-electric Jaguar SUVs driving into the cul-de-sac and headed back out due to a fleet routing error. Waymo apologized to neighbors, stating vehicles staged in heavily traveled areas to respond to demand, but admitted that this should not come at the expense of a neighborhood peace of mind. The company says it has already adjusted its software with its fleet partner to correct the routing behavior and prevent future disruptions for Atlanta residents. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, Elon Musk predicting his robo-taxis will be available in more places this year. Tesla currently operating its driverless ride services in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Musk expects fully self-driving robo-taxis without human safety monitors to become more widespread in the U.S. later this year. Musk told the Smart Mobility Summit in Tel Aviv he believes 5 years from now, and certainly 10 years from now, probably 90% of all distance driving will be by the AI in a self-driving car. Tesla lags behind Google's Waymo with robotaxis, and Reuters reports the testing of Tesla services was plagued by long wait times, availability, and drop-offs far from riders' destinations. Well, an update in DeKalb County where dismissal charges for a former Georgia Tech football player is raising serious questions about wrongful convictions. Brandon Pugh was absolved of all charges just last week with new evidence proving another suspect was involved in the case. Let's get out to our Kevin Stewart on top of this one for us. Kevin?
How are you? You know, we've been following this case here in Douglas County of a man named Brandon Pugh who was in jail, in prison, I should say, for 16 years for a crime he did not commit. The Douglas County District Attorney's Office Justice Integrity Unit have been working on this. I want to show you some video, actually snapshots of surveillance from the crime that dates back to the summer of 2008, a robbery at a Wachovia bank that no longer exists on Lee Road here in Douglas County. The bank robbers, two masked men, got away with $18,000. Brandon Pugh's car was used in the robbery, but now the Douglas County DA says Pugh was not involved. He spent 16 years, as I noted, in prison after being convicted of armed robbery. Pugh's car had been stolen, but it was used at the crime scene, and that's what he was arguing during his trial, that hey, that's my car, but I wasn't there. New evidence has confirmed that. Plus, the description of the suspect was a man with a slim build. Pugh at the time was 5'8", 208 pounds, so kind of chunky. A key part of the investigation was the man who actually pled guilty to the crime, revealing a lot of information. Take a listen.
He also confirmed that it was a slim build of his actual co-defendant, and he stated that they committed a string of robberies, including this one. And he said during this time, where they were committing these repeated robberies, that it was common pattern and practice for them to only utilize stolen vehicles. And a direct quote was, "Only an idiot would rob a bank in their personal car and leave it as evidence." Wright regrets that Pugh had been blamed for this offense that has been committed, and he unequivocally states that Pugh was not a co-conspirator.
All right, now that was District Attorney Dahlia Racine, who was not the district attorney here in Douglas County at the time. She apologized to Pugh and his family. He had small children at the time, 3 and 7 years old. His case has been wiped clean. He was actually released from prison last week. He did not appear at this news conference, which started around 2 o'clock, lasted about 40 minutes. He says he wants to move on with his life, and the district attorney says that office will be working to pair him up with some resources to help him reintegrate back into society. Tom?
One has to wonder, Kevin, if any legal recourse is going to follow this exoneration, if he plans to sue after what happened.
Certainly a question that we would have liked to have asked. Certainly the district attorney's office cannot answer that question, but certainly you would expect that.
Kevin Stewart, live for us with this huge development. Kevin, thanks. Well, a loving community is gathering at Brookstone Country Club for the Matthew Dias Memorial Golf Tournament. Fox 5's Chris Rosenthal is live out there for us in Ackworth with how Matthew's charitable legacy lives on. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And the golfers are starting to come in. They've been here all morning here at the Brookstone Country Club here in Ackworth. About 100 or so coming up. So a pretty big turnout here today for this tournament. This is, like you said, this is in honor of Matthew Dias. He was a University of West Georgia student. He was killed in a car accident, or actually in a motorcycle accident. He was hit by a car in 2011, and his family has held this tournament
tournament ever since for past 15 years. He was a big golfer. He was on the golf team there. He worked here as a golfer, young man who was a devoted Christian and did mission work as well. And I've got his father here, David Dias. And tell me a little bit about, we talked a little bit about him, but tell me a little bit about him as a father. What would you want people to know about your son?
Matt was a great team player. That's what he really enjoyed. Playing golf for the University of West Georgia, he embraced the team aspect of it. It was not always about him. It was about everybody else. You know, he played golf at Harrison High School as well. He worked out here at Brookstone. He was just a great person. He did not meet a stranger at all, and he just and he loved just to be with people. He loved to go to Ukraine on mission trips with the church to help other younger kids that were that may have been in need or struggling, but you know, just a good boy. He had a great smile on his face. He never walked into a room without smiling, and just people just coming to him and attracting him. So he was just a good young boy and good young Christian. He loved College Golf Fellowship. Was one of his best, one of his favorite things to do, where young high school seniors go to PGA Tour homes for a weekend, and they play golf, they worship, they have a great time. And that was one of his favorite things to do. He would bring in some of his friends to do this, and this fund donates to the College Golf Fellowship every year, and it helps seniors that maybe can't afford to go to these professional golfers' houses. It helps them get there. So
yeah,
it was good.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the tournament. Why we're here today? I mean, you guys have been doing this for 15 years, and I mean, how did this get started here?
Well, it's interesting. I'm surprised that it's been 15 years. Quite honestly, it's a little bittersweet. Glad that we're getting able to do this because it's been tremendous. But you know, we just wanted to honor him in some way because he enjoyed golf so much. He really embraced playing golf. He didn't start golf until later in life. I think it was like Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods won the Masters, he said, "I want to start playing golf," and so he started playing at Harrison. Then he went to college, and he actually went to Georgia Southern for a year, and he didn't play golf. He said, and then he came back and he said, "I really miss golf." I said, "A lot of my friends are playing golf, and I really wanted to get back into it." So then he ended up going to the University of West Georgia, got on the golf team. Right before his accident, ironically, he won his first golf tournament, individual golf tournament at Robert Trent Jones in Alabama. He won the golf tournament individually, so it was terrific. And so we wanted to honor him because he loved golf so much. We wanted to honor him and keep his memory by doing something that he really loved. And this tournament has been great. People come out every year. We have 100+ people every year, new people, and we've had people that have been here, you know, for the 15 years. I mean, it's incredible that we've had so many people that still come here from out of town. We have people coming here from New York, Florida, Ohio, and it's been tremendous support. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and some of them I've talked to, some of them actually knew him too. So.
Absolutely, yeah, a lot of people knew him. They knew him from working out here. They knew him from just being part of the Brookstone community, and you know, his brother and sister and mother and myself, we've tried to keep him, obviously, everybody keeps him in their thoughts and prayers all the time. So it's been great.
Is this something? I know it's been a while, but grief kind of never ends. Does this kind of help with the grief a little bit?
It does. You know, it's like I said, it's bittersweet. I'm really glad that we were able to do this every year. I was at my nephew got married a couple of weeks ago, and the bride had never met Matt, but she had a chair dedicated to him at the wedding. And that was just so special. She never met him, but it was her idea to do that. And it's a memory of how his memory is still with us today after 15 years. So it's really great.
And I think a lot of people here can't forget him from talking to them for sure.
He didn't meet a stranger. Yeah. Never met a stranger. Never did.
So some of the causes that this goes to, we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah. So College Golf Fellowship is, as I said, one of the causes we send money to, and that helps young seniors in high school get to these places where professional golfers host. People like Davis Love, Lee Jansen, Zach Johnson. They host a group of 18 to 20, 30 guys, high school seniors, at their homes for a weekend. And they have to raise money to be able to get there. And so our fund helps some of the golfers get there. We also have a scholarship set up at the University of West Georgia. And it is a golf scholarship for a men's golf team, a men's golf member that the golf coach can designate a member of the team to get this scholarship. So that's one of the things we do. Those are the two biggest ones. We also, people that go on mission trips with church, we will help fund their mission trips to places like Ukraine or Russia or Dominican Republic. That's part of what this fund does as well.
And people are seeing this and they want to donate. What can they do?
They can always donate. Wells Fargo, the Matt Dias Memorial Fund is the easiest way to go to is at Wells Fargo. There's also, like I said, the University of West Georgia. There's a scholarship set up in his name, in Matt Dias' name, and they can donate to that as well.
One of the things I found really interesting about your story and your family's story in this is that you've forgiven the driver that hit your son, and you asked the judge to go easy. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
So, she was a young lady. She had just graduated from University of West Georgia. She was she was a teacher. She graduated and she had an education degree and she was a teacher. It was an accident. It was unfortunate, obviously, but we did not want her to not be able to help children and help kids. So one of the things we did is we asked the judge not to impose a sentence that would keep her away from her work. And so he was very nice, and we worked it out where she would do some time on the weekends when she wasn't working. But other than that, we didn't want to penalize her where she couldn't help other children, which is what she was doing.
Would Matt have wanted that too?
Absolutely, for sure.
Well, I appreciate you joining us today, and didn't mean to have you tear up a little bit, but I know it's an emotional thing. It's 15 years, it doesn't dull it, so
it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So we appreciate your time. So so this tournament, it's wrapping up. Like I said, the golfers coming in, and they'll get some prizes, and they have a raffle here, and all of it in honor of Matt Dias. In fact, this over here, by the way, this is actually his golf bag. Which is this red one right here is a touching tribute to him here that I think all the golfers got to see before they headed out this morning onto the golf course here today. So so just a really great tournament, great turnout here, and all for a really good cause and in memory of Matthew Dias.
Well, we're just so grateful that David Dias was so generous with his feelings about his son, obviously still so broken emotionally. Time never heals the wound of losing a child for a parent, certainly, and you could clearly see that with David. But as you said, he's channeling his grief into a positive cause. How many people showed up to the tournament this morning, Chris?
They've had about 100. About 100 people have showed up today. Like you said, some of them have been coming the whole time. Some of them are new people. A lot of them knew him. One of the interesting stories, I talked to a woman whose son was friends with Matthew, and she got the news. She was actually on the fourth hole here when she got the news that he passed away, and that hole's been sort of blessed for her ever since. She came out after that, and her and all of her 3 of her friends all hit birdies, and a lot of other folks have had some good luck on that hole ever since he passed away. So
maybe a sign
he's here looking down.
He's watching over everybody there. What a wonderful story, so heartwarming and yet so heartbreaking at the same time. Chris Rosenthal. Chris, thanks. I want to take you out to some breaking news in San Diego, California, where police are on the scene of what they are describing as an active shooter situation at the Islamic Center of San Diego. Again, these are live pics of that area where you can see a convergence of police and authorities there, ambulances on the scene as well. They say they believe there are people who've been shot. The footage shows that heavy police presence outside the mosque. It's in a residential neighborhood about 9 miles north of San Diego. It's the largest mosque in San Diego County, according to its website. The campus includes a school, which the website says offers courses in Arabic language and Islamic. Again, live pictures over San Diego, California, where it looks like police are on the scene of what is being described as an active shooter situation. Not sure if things are under control there or this is still an active investigation to track down whoever is out there. So we'll continue to stay on top of the situation again out of San Diego and bring you updates as they become available. Still more to come here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. We're going to head out to the YMCA in Kennesaw, where they are giving Georgians swimming lessons out there. So important as we enter the summer season. We'll be right back.
No, don't drop it.
So we'll talk about... Yes, I can. Yes. All right, cool. 10-4, thank you.
Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. You know, 1 out of 3 Georgians don't know how to swim. So that's why the Kennesaw YMCA is seeing an imperative to offer swimming lessons so that people don't run into danger this summer as we head out on the lakes and pools and what have you. Let's get out to Eli Jordan standing by live with more on how they're doing this. Eli?
Hey, good afternoon, Tom. Yeah, and it's not only the Kennesaw YMCA, it's Atlanta Metro YMCA's all over the Metro. They're offering these swim lessons and all that, and they're even foregoing. You don't need to be a member of the Y to bring your kid down here. Just go ahead and bring your kid down here, and you just pay your basic fees for swim lessons. Don't worry about being a member. But to talk more about it, I am with Shannon Addy. She is the swim instructor here at the Kennesaw YMCA. Hey, Shannon, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad. So, I mean, how long have you been an instructor?
Over 25 years.
So you know a little bit about swimming?
Just a little bit.
A little bit. And tell me, what do you think about this stat? 33% of Georgia youth don't know how to swim.
Yeah, that's a sad statistic, especially coming from, being around the water so often that I am, that knowing that there's people in my community that don't have the access that I had growing up. So, that's a high statistic.
And so you guys, how early can kids start here?
We start as early as 6 months.
That's, that seems a little bit early. That's before they can walk or talk and all that
Yeah,
good stuff.
so their parent gets into the water with them. So basically in that class, we teach the parent how to make their child comfortable in the water, all right? So we play in the water with toys. We just acclimate them to, different environments. And then we teach them how to get in and out of the pool safely and how to use their own home pool or the community pool if they don't have access to our YMCA pool.
And so tell me, you guys not only do lessons here, then these go on throughout the year because you got nice heated pool and everything.
Yes.
But during the seasonal times, you guys go to the communities, right?
We do. So we go to 2 different communities in our neighborhood, and we teach a program called Safety Around Water. So this is our acclimation program. So we just want kids to be comfortable in the water. So we teach them how to go under the water. And then we teach them 2 main skills to get them safe in the water if they ever jump in. So we teach them to jump, push off the bottom of the pool, turn around and grab the wall. And then the other one is swim, float, swim. So we want the kids to be able to swim, float on their back, and then swim again to the side so that they can get there safely.
That's basic, but very extremely essential to survive.
Yes. So this program, we partner through Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and Gas South. So it gives us the opportunity to bring staff out to the community. These kids do not pay for these swim lessons. They do not pay for my instructor's time or my lifeguards that we provide. And we just have a great time there for a week, and we teach them how to be safe around the water.
If people want more information, I think it's YMCAAtlanta.org/swim.
That's correct.
I remembered it. Yay. All right, YMCAAtlanta.org/swim, and that's for all the Metro Atlanta YMCA's, and they all have swim lessons through now. I mean, you guys are pretty much packed.
We're getting towards our busy season.
And just how quickly can a kid be able to be self-sufficient in the pool, would you say? How long does it take for swim lessons?
So it really depends on how much work you're going to put in, okay? So I'm a great instructor, but I also need your help, okay? So if you're going to put the work in and you are going to reinforce the lessons that we teach, your child will be off and running fairly quickly.
And it gives not only the kid confidence, but give the parents confidence.
Of course.
And that can change the whole dynamic of any vacation when you're hanging out, not having to worry as much, and always keep an eye on them, but you don't have to be there hovering over them all the time.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, Shannon, Addie, thank you so much. And here at the Kennesaw, Northwest Atlanta, Kennesaw, Northwest Georgia?
Northwest Family YMCA.
Northwest Family YMCA. There are so many different names.
There is so many different names.
But there's a lot of that,
But we all do the same thing.
Yep. So check them out. There's one close to you. You can get your kids some swim lessons out here or there or wherever, maybe even out at your community. And Tom, I learned how to swim at an early age. My mom just threw me in the water and said, "Swim, boy." And how did you learn how to swim?
That's pretty much it. They just drop you in the pool and say, "Go." I didn't appreciate the fact that you're actually in that pool, and apparently I'm being told that this is the apex of actually who you are, because you not only learned how to swim, but you learned how to swim in front of a television station that we're showing on the air right now, a picture that you learned how to swim at this pool right outside this.
Throw me in the deep end. It said, "Swim, boy."
TV station.
WOWL, TV 15 Florence.
And now here you are on TV in a pool. How about that?
That's right. Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
Little did I know that this would ever happen. But yeah, learn how to swim. It's important.
You made it,
You can have a fun
Eli.
life.
You can now retire. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Eli Jordan.
I'll take your word. Yeah, I'm
live in the pool up in Kennesaw. Eli, thanks. Thank you for joining us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.